Good Monday morning. Happy President's Day to everybody that's celebrating their favorite president. Might be buying a mattress today, might be buying a new car, celebrating your favorite president, or most importantly, for a lot of people, you're not working or going to school today. That's okay. You can spend the next 4 hours with us. It is Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Jimmy here as well. And good morning also to everyone that likes fun and thinks that Nebraska is a basketball state because you know what? It is a basketball state of mind, and it is so nice to have teams that you root for or you follow, you cover, that are likable. And there's a team in Lincoln that played yesterday that is extremely likable. There's a team in this town that plays a monstrous game tomorrow night against Marquette that is very likable, especially since the last time they played Marquette when they were in the throes of a losing streak. But things are good. What a way to start a Monday.
Are you trying to say
what happened at Pinnacle Bank Arena yesterday?
Nebraska men's basketball is the Detroit Lions? Or fun? Is that what it is? Likeable? Fun?
You say they're on a heater?
They're very likable. I mean, it's amazing what has happened
It's a great
with
game.
Nebraska basketball. All right, you two be honest. I was there, so I didn't bail. Okay, I didn't bail. Like I'll get to this a little bit later.
Oh, okay.
So I got tickets, and I'm not able to go to every game because of Omaha's schedule, and so when I go, I'm very observant of everything going on.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things that bug the crap out of me.
What grinds your gears?
One, what they do with the student giveaway, which yesterday was, they did it again. They did it last year. It's a debacle. They gave them Christmas sweaters last year. They gave them sweatshirts yesterday. They leave right before I thought. I'll get to that later. That's a get off my lawn. But I turned to the guys I took to the game yesterday, and I said, and we're in overtime. I said, no, it was right before the end of regulation. And I'm like, why are people leaving? Why are people leaving? This game is in doubt.
At the end of regulation?
This game could go to overtime.
I've never understood that.
Yeah.
So that's a thing around here that I'll never get my full arms wrapped around. But let's be honest. Even with the way that Nebraska basketball has played of late, and they've won 4 of 5, and they're a 500 team. You wake up on the 20th of January, you're celebrating your favorite president, and you're like, you know what? Reelect Fred Hoiberg for a 5th year because Nebraska basketball is 500.
7 Big Ten wins.
How many people turned it off? The under 8 media timeout. Nebraska's down 7 yesterday. It's okay to be honest. You guys can be honest.
No, I did not. No,
I didn't bail. I was there the whole time.
I didn't think it was over.
I did not.
There are a lot of people that I probably thought it was over at that point.
I thought they're in a little trouble, but I knew they'd make some sort of run.
But you know what made that likable about this team that has become likable is they were sluggish offensively. Yeah. They went 28 minutes between threes yesterday. 28 minutes between threes. One of their key cogs was on the bench with foul trouble, but they never lost ground to a Maryland team that I thought at times didn't want to be there. They were just going through the motions and thinking Nebraska would roll over. And they got reminded, like Penn State and Wisconsin have gotten reminded, that Nebraska in that building is a whole different beast. Yep. And you got a crowd of about 15K yesterday. They will them. And if I would have told both of you or anybody else that we're sitting here on the 20th of February, and again, Nebraska is 500. First time they've been 500 in February since 2019, that on a Sunday afternoon game against Maryland, and we're assuming before the year begins that Maryland is going to be really good and they'll be in the mix to be in the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
Well, by the way, coming off a win over Purdue, that Sam Hoiberg, Keisei Tominaga would be key cogs in helping Nebraska win. And Nebraska would win a basketball game because they were good at the free throw line. You guys would have had me committed. That's
I would have said how well.
That's what makes this team likable.
I would have said, how bad is Maryland actually going to be then? Like, that's what I would have thought.
They all have COVID, or they quit, or
they're going through Minnesota's issues,
or Ohio State's issues.
But yeah, I mean, and that kind of goes to the point of it's a fun team, it's a likable team because you got sort of the unusual suspects that are making a name now. Keisei Tominaga no longer, like the guy that's just kind of where'd this guy come from? But Sam Hoiberg, the steal and conversion there at the other end. Like, I mean, just moments like that, the way that he was defending, Keisei doing what he does, but also you mentioned probably the most important part of this game where Nebraska is still able to prevail, and that's the amount of time that Sam Griesel had to be on the bench there in the second half. That was a huge stretch where Maryland ends up, being down, taking the lead, and it looks like, oh gosh, all right, might have to get Sam Griesel in a lot earlier than you're comfortable with, but hey, you have to do it, and then give him credit the way he played the rest of the way too. Like it's just, I know I hate this term because I think it gets thrown out there very loosely about teams that kind of have a similar identity, where you're just kind of putting something together, but the guys just they work their ass off, and it's that they're that blue collar team. But they are. I mean, like I can't think of a definition of a blue collar team that is more fitting right now at a team that we're familiar with than this Nebraska team, because those names and the things that, I mean, again, then yesterday, Blaze Cade is getting some decent minutes. All of a sudden he goes down, re-injures his ankle. And you're thinking, Jesus, like this just keeps happening. You've got Jamarcus Lawrence, who has to come back in after getting banged up too, but does, is a body on the floor. And he's a body on the floor in a moment that they win a game against a good Maryland team. Like it's all likable qualities. It's all like it's impossible not to appreciate that.
Well, there's a lot of people that are appreciating it, and we're doing the NIT math. Strike up the band, boys. We got to do some NIT math. We're doing the Creighton math. Can they get to a 3 or a 4 seed?
Yeah.
Which is possible, depending on what happens tomorrow night. Strike up the NIT to see what is the path for Nebraska basketball to get to the NIT, which is absolutely crazy. But watching like last night and this stretch of games and midweek against Rutgers, and you're thinking, man, they're going to have possibly a letdown. And that was a slog. Just back-to-back games watching. St. John's Saturday night, and then Maryland yesterday, they just make it tough to watch. Their offense just really, really makes it tough to watch, and they suck you in. St. John's at home, because they play that style and they're sloppy and it's all over the map, they suck you in, and you go, "Oh, 1 by 10," and you go, "No, no, no, no." When you play St. John's out there, they try and suck you into their style, and any win is a good win. Maryland was kinda like that yesterday. Maryland was just kinda they had weird who they were matching up with Walker, which I don't know. I'm not a you guys know, I'm not a fan of Kevin Willard, very smarmy. Um, and I just Maryland had like, okay, they're gonna win this basketball game because it's just not aesthetically pleasing. And Nebraska hasn't been able to get anything going. And then all of a sudden, Nebraska started to make stops. Let's do this about Sam Hoiberg. And it's an amazing story about Sam Hoiberg, because if Jawan Gary and Emmanuel Vanderbilt do not get hurt, what do Sam Hoiberg's minutes look like? Because when they were both on the floor, Fred was not throwing his son out there.
No, he didn't play.
He was not saying, "Hey, Sam, go get us 8 to 10."
Right.
He was not throwing Tominaga out there. So the fascinating thing about this basketball team, and here, they're 14 and 14, but it's just the growth is they are a better basketball team, TEAM, without 2 of their starters, and that's not a knock on those 2 guys. No, because when you say something like that, you mean like they're cancers in the locker room,
Right.
and you got rid of them, so the team played better. They have been forced to do things they're not going to normally do. Their defensive game plan the last 3 weeks has been really good. They've taken the scout, they've taken it to the floor on what they wanna do. Fred Hoiberg has become a better coach in game because he has to. I thought once again, and I've said this numerous times, his substitution, his feel for offense, defense, and getting guys in and out of the game, I think has been spot on. And you've had guys that have been given opportunities because there's more minutes available, and some guys have lost their minutes, and that's not a bad thing. A Tominaga, a Hoiberg, a Keita have gotten more minutes, and they've taken advantage of their opportunities. And I always say this in sports, and I'm gonna bring Omaha hockey into the mix because not to be outdone this weekend, they've qualified for home ice. When a team does something that is unexpected, it is more enjoyable. I don't care if you're David in Lincoln or you're Nebraska Ball Mike or whoever. What Nebraska basketball is doing right now, after losing 2 starters, is unexpected. There might even be some guys that were sitting in that locker room celebrating last night. They looked at each other and said, "Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Just ride the wave.
Yeah.
And then you have Omaha hockey, which was not expected to do much this year. The NCAA is not what it has been in the past, but Omaha hasn't let it affect them. And Omaha has qualified for home ice for the first time since Baxter Arena came up from the ground. I love sports when I see teams that are unexpected and they're doing big things and you enjoy it more. And that's what's happening right now with the basketball team in Lincoln and the hockey team in Omaha.
Yeah, you enjoy it more because you can see how genuinely like how much fun they're having with it too. And it goes I'm glad you brought up the coaching part of it too, because when you think of the ways that in Nebraska and maybe Omaha hockey have different ways of how they've been able to have some success as of late. But when you look at how creative you have to be as a coach, and this is the one thing that I even kind of found myself thinking, not just yesterday, but when you saw the way that they were playing against Rutgers. And to your point about what you have to do when you are just limited with the guys you have, you got to play some guys, but you got to be creative in the spots that you put them in. You got to put them in positions where it's not necessarily a necessity. Now, yesterday was a little different because you had Greasel in foul trouble. Then you have Blaze Cada who goes down and a guy you don't want to put back in, Jamarcus Lawrence, who's also hurt. But other than that, like you're creative. You find the spots, whether it's a defensive substitution, whether it's a moment in the game where you understand you got to bite yourself some time. You know, there's a lot of different ways that Fred has shown that basketball IQ that we all know he has. We one of the most exciting things about Fred Hoiberg coming over as Nebraska's basketball coach was the guy is in tune to the game. He's constantly learning and evolving with the game too. Very bright individual, but also very even keel guy. You watch the way that he's able to sort of manage a game with the circumstances that have been presented to them. And I think a lot of people could walk away with it, having a lot more respect for Fred now with what you're seeing, how he's able to kind of manage that. And with Omaha hockey, you know, it's not maybe of the same magnitude where you're completely like juggling the roster and trying to find ways to get the right lines, but what they're doing between the net. You had a freshman who you wanted to bring along in Simon Lakosi, bring him along. So let the very experienced Jake Koharski get the Friday starts, get a couple of good ones. And then you know what, Saturday night, hey, kid, we've set the tone for the series. Now go out and get it. Kid builds more confidence, starts getting some shutouts, and now he's your Friday guy. Might even be your full weekend guy. I know Koharski started on Saturday, but I mean, the point is you're understanding sort of the dynamic of the team and where the season's going, and you can sort of pick up on what's going to best suit that individual and put them in a position of success, and it's ultimately going to help the team. I mean, that's kind of what it's fun to see when those coaches are pushing the right buttons.
Your point about when you don't expect it and you see how much fun it can be, you saw it firsthand when you went to game day in Lawrence in October. If Nebraska football this fall were to suddenly get hot and go a 7-8 win team after everything they've been through, it would feel different because it would be that joy that maybe wasn't there in the past because, well, it was expected. And that's a different level of enjoyment in a way, in that maybe it's not as enjoyable as when it's, whoa, we didn't expect this. And so it becomes pure again. And that's what I thought watching that game yesterday. When Sam gets that steal, you're thinking, how much fun is that building right now? Like it is such a good feeling. And I go back to what you said about the Nebraska basketball fan and how loyal they are and how much they dream. What if we could get a winner consistently? And you see this building rocking on a daily, nightly basis and everything that it can be. And days like yesterday give you previews of that. It's a great thing.
Place was a good atmosphere.
Hell, Saturday was a good atmosphere despite the way that game went. I mean, it's just it's a good place to watch a game.
Thank you, Caitlin Clark.
By the way,
she was booed right away.
Okay.
Oh, right away.
Just
and then she sat and she pouted after she got a call and
just confirming.
Yeah, I just
confirming.
It's they got 2 more home games left. They got Minnesota. The unfortunate thing is you want them to play like right again. You want to play a midweek game, but Nebraska doesn't play until they play Minnesota, and then they got a huge game against Michigan State. Nebraska wants to go to the NIT. They got to beat Minnesota.
Minnesota will be on what, the 4th game of a week?
Yeah.
A week's
because they're
March.
COVID, they play today in Champaign, and they've lost 9 in a row. I saw Garcia came back the other night against Penn State. But that Michigan State game a week from tomorrow, if you want to, because I say the race to 17, but Nebraska also has to help their net rating. So they probably got to go up about 15 spots or so. you probably have to beat Michigan State. And Nebraska's getting closer, not playing on the opening day. Make the T-shirts, wear the T-shirts. Yep. But Nebraska wins yesterday against Maryland. Why are Maryland fans so salty? I'm noticing that this morning on Twitter, that Maryland fans think they got screwed yesterday. I mean, the second half was kind of...
Were they wanting a holding?
The first half compared to the second half was kind of interesting, but I wouldn't say that Maryland got screwed. Let me tell you, Maryland fan, this is what happened to you. Let me tell you about a guy named Sam Hoiberg. Sam Hoiberg's not even on scholarship, okay?
Yeah.
His dad's the coach. His dad didn't even want to play his son when they were at full tilt, okay? So, when you do the lineups, you slap hands.
Yeah,
you got
the towel
the
waiver.
towel.
Yeah, the towel waiver. Yeah.
That's who Sam Hoiberg was. But if he needed to come in a game, he'd give you like 2-3 minutes. But usually those were at the end of the game. And this is what you're up against. That guy yesterday, that guy beat you. Okay? So, Maryland fan, don't be saying you got screwed yesterday. You got beat by a team that outgritted you, and you probably FA and FO and found out what Penn State and Wisconsin have found out in that building. You brought up, and a lot of people will go to the steal and the score by Hoiberg. I thought it was funny that his dad thought he was going to dunk it. But I will tell you the two huge, the biggest plays to me with Sam Hoiberg last night were his defense on Young at the end,
the final shot,
of regulation.
Totally agree.
And then early in overtime, he took a charge. Mm-hmm. Those were the two most important plays to me by Hoiberg. The steal and the score will get the headlines, but just kind of shows you of a gritty kid that now has, that's the moniker of this team. So Maryland fan, worry about your own, okay? Worry why you walked into Lincoln and Kevin Willard again lost in the state of Nebraska. That's all I have to say. I was just wondering why Maryland fans are really, really salty today. Is it that when you lose to Nebraska,
well, yeah,
you're
because
upset?
think of the week that they had. They beat Purdue, even though odds makers, including Brian Edwards, had that happening. They beat Purdue. You're feeling pretty damn good. You essentially erase all that momentum. You just beat the best team in the Big Ten. Now you lost to one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. Maybe not currently a team that's, feeling pretty good about themselves in Nebraska, but you lost to a bottom tier team on the road in a game that, despite that first half, you had an 8-point lead.
So this is where the switch in Nebraska basketball comes from. And Jake Muehlheisen and Eric Strickland were talking about this on the pregame radio show, is a lot of people consider Nebraska a bad loss, which, let's be honest, right now it kind of is. In terms of the quad and NCAA and the optics, losing to Nebraska is a bad loss. When you can flip that losing to Nebraska is a good loss. Right. Just focusing on yourself, not from the Nebraska perspective, but teams that are losing to Nebraska. Then you've got something cooking. And for Maryland, with what's on the line with the NCAA tournament and seeding and coming off a win, playing on the road against a team that is under 500, I'm sure they're going to look at that as a bad loss. Yep. And then that is a bad loss because Nebraska is still there where it's bad to lose to Nebraska. But right now, Nebraska basketball is winning, and they are fun. And credit to Fred Hoiberg. And this goes all the way back to the summer. And I think by now, Fred's back. But I wonder how many people have shifted from, okay, the only reason Fred's coming back is because they owe him $11 million to buy him out. Mm-hmm. And then you'll recite the record, which is 36-81 now. Is that right?
Yeah. Sounds right.
Is in the last month or so, has he earned a fifth year where you believe that he earned a fifth year because of what he has shown you, not because of what Nebraska can't do?
Yeah, the financial repercussions.
Pay you out and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I think he has shifted to that. Mm-hmm. And yesterday was just a reminder because he said something. There's a lot of promises that have been made under Fred's time in 4 years at Nebraska. He's made a lot of, he said, we're going to do this, this, and this. We're going to recruit like this. We're going to get the top-notch players, man. Offensively, they've shifted. They're kind of defensive-minded, and they've been that way all year because they are limited offensively. Mm-hmm. He told you in the middle of the summer that fans will like this team.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't think anybody can deny that from the beginning of November through people forget that Nebraska won at Creighton, to last night. That has been the case all season long. We've had so many promises by coaches at the beginning of years, and we go back, we go back and we fact check and we go, that's not true. I'll give credit to Fred. He said this team would be likable, and on February 20th, they are extremely likable.
Well, and it's always an interesting concept. Like, what's likable? We like wins.
No, you know what we like around here? So, and everybody has a different viewpoint if you're following like the 3 Division I programs. The Creighton likable factor is they got elite talent, okay? And they play at a high level, okay? So you like that, and you've come to expect Creighton playing in that stratosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska basketball is different ball game where, and this is kind of where Nebraska with football and men's basketball is, and the struggles to break through, make it pop, as I like to call it, is if teams play hard, the Nebraskan is, because Nebraskans are hard workers, they're attracted to that. A team that has some grit.
You notice it, yeah.
Especially in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And look at over the last couple of years in Nebraska basketball. Very fancy team. They had some flashy players. Weren't necessarily attracted to that. All of a sudden, they've got grit and grind guys, and you're like,
Yeah.
All right. Where do I get my Tominaga jersey?
Yeah. And it goes back to the expectations of the programs, too. You know, as you pointed out, Creighton with the talent in a lot of spots, elite talent. Kalk Brenner, Trey Alexander. I mean, those are studs. And you've got a likable coach there, but you've also got a team that their standard, it starts with, okay, what kind of seed are they going to get in the NCAA tournament? You know what the expectation is at the very least. That's the expectation of the Creighton fan for that program. So match that, and let's enjoy that. Let's get some big wins along the way. Nebraska, this is where not having the large expectations, but the realistic expectations of, we don't need you to go to the NCAA tournament every year to jump on board and enjoy this. But if you are in, say, a year of a struggle, and I know Nebraska's had quite a few here under Fred Hoiberg, give us something. Okay, give us something that we can sort of gravitate to, and you're 100% accurate. If you can show me a team that is down to the bare bones, I know that's not the plan. You might want to go a different route if you can get the luck on your side when it comes to health. But despite all of the health issues with this Nebraska team, that you can just sort of claw your way. You can drag a team down in the mud. You can win a rock fight here or two. You can do it in front of the home crowd. You've got a couple of guys that sort of inspire. You know, you got Casey, who's doing what he's been doing, but then Sam Hoiberg. You know, that is going to resonate with a lot of Nebraska fans. And it's just something that and I always feel like Omaha, whatever success they get, and if they can do that at a, say more of that underdog role, of course you're going to embrace that too, because we kind of know like what to expect. There's a standard that comes with each team at each school. And I think if you're playing to that, even on a down year, you're giving something to the fans that they can sort of get behind. Case in point, what Nebraska's done this last week with basketball, just like what Creighton did withstanding that 6-game losing streak. And you brought up UNO hockey, a team that was picked to be finished 7th in the NCHC in the preseason. Here they are now hosting and still mathematically not out of it to win the regular season.
I love what's going on right now. This is fun. Nebraska basketball has a pulse. 500 team, 15K. They have a pulse. Creighton plays a monster game tomorrow night against Marquette. This is fun. This is fun. I got already people arguing in the Equitable Bank inbox. Creighton on Nebraska crime. This is fun. This is what it's supposed to be like. This is what it can be. This is what a Monday on President's Day is going to be like.
50-something degrees.
Take advantage
melting.
And take advantage of those sales out there, damn it.
Maybe wash your car. Wait in line for a half hour with us.
Yes, all the above. All right, coming up on the
Cocaine Bear on Thursday.
Which we'll have tickets to give away. Jimmy will tell you how you can get tickets here shortly. So here's another part of this being fun, right? We want fun.
Mm-hmm.
I hate boring. I hate
fun.
Uninteresting people, all right? Kick them out of my life. I like fun. I like neat things. Embrace neat things until they break your heart. We are 3 weeks from a Selection Monday show. Okay? And there's a team that wears blue that could move up a line or two, and got some fairly good news on the selection committee. There's 16 that they're not very far from being a 4 seed, which personally, I'm going to be selfish here. I got hotel, I got tickets in Des Moines, so they're still alive. We will talk to Tim Kruger, our bracketologist, coming up at 7:40. I have seen his bracket, which will not be released until noon on stadium.com. Interesting movement. 3 weeks out. Jacob Bigelow will stop by. I don't think Jacob took off his shirt yesterday, which has become a thing at Pinnacle Bank Arena.
Did you? Students, you kept yours on?
No, I thought Matt Rule was going to take off his shirt. So anybody, you guys haven't been to a game, but they show the student section, and there's one kid, he was there for the Wisconsin game, so he takes off his shirt. And all of a sudden, that's become a thing, like people that are around him. So they showed yesterday, Rule was sitting in a suite, and they put the camera on him, and he started, trying to get everybody fired up. And he jumped out of his seat, and I thought, man, he was this close. Matt Rule was this close to taking off his shirt yesterday.
He's gonna pull off a Bruce Pearl.
But there was a lot of shirtless people. That's how we celebrate now. I think I will I think I'm too old for that. I don't think people need to see that. I don't think Jacob, who was covering the game yesterday as a media member, got all excited and went shirtless.
No. If you're in your 40s, even if you're in good, I think even if you're in good shape, like in your 30s or 40s, now let that be a student thing.
Yeah, I don't.
Time and place.
Let that be a student. If you're sitting around adults at an event and you immediately take your shirt off, I think it gets kind of weird.
It's awkward.
Yeah, unless they're doing it as well, and all of a sudden you're in a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah. Let's go, Devils!
Joel Lorenzi will join us also in the 9 o'clock hour. It's a Monday Hoophead show. Creighton survived a game at St. John's. Hate playing at Carnesec Arena. It's ugly. It's tight quarters. They play ugly, and Creighton found a way thanks to a
tight
big
quarters
arch.
for the broadcasters too.
Oh, it's just they should be better at home. They have a huge advantage in Jamaica playing at home, and they don't ever take advantage of it, but that's their problem. They got Mike Anderson as their coach.
Yeah, shouldn't they just be better in general?
But Creighton found a way to win a game because of Big Art, and now they have, and I'm telling you, tomorrow night is a monster game between Creighton and Marquette. It is a huge game. That is one of the bigger games in that building.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go all hyperbole on you, but I think I just did. Tomorrow night is huge between Creighton and Marquette.
You're just stating fact. It's a big game.
And I feel like if you're a Creighton fan, you know that. You should know what tomorrow means.
Just
what's on the line.
The
Conference
off
standings.
if you're going to the game.
Yeah.
Weekend of baseball, not so good. 2 teams went 0-3, and Creighton won 2 of 3 at McNeese State. Also, state wrestling wrapped up. Record-setting weekend for Millard South. Not only with another state championship, but also points and a little bit of controversy that we will get into. And also in the mix this weekend, kind of under the radar yesterday while the Nebraska basketball game was going on, Shafe sent me a text. So we're both at the game. And Shafe sent me a text. This might have been midway through the first quarter. And he goes, "You ever heard of this kid?" And so he sent me Torrey Pittman's tweet that he had been offered. And I said, "Oh, yeah. Everybody in Omaha knows who he is." But then I said to Shafe, I said, "He's an 8th grader." He said, "Nebraska just offered him." Yeah, Nebraska football yesterday offered an 8th grader right here in Omaha. Kind of went under the radar.
Well, that kid's going to go to school tomorrow with the Vince McMahon walk.
He's a dude. He's a dude. He's at Buffett right now.
You know where I saw that on?
He's a dude.
I saw that on Saturday Tradition. I'm like, what? What is this? 8th grader?
Hey, good on them.
Okay.
Were they just were they scooping everybody, or were they just retweeting his tweet? I
think that was when I read it. It had. I'm trying to remember who they had a tweet, but it wasn't anybody that I recognized. It was. I shouldn't say that. It wasn't anybody local.
I was not living here at the time. I got in on Amon Green's last year at Central.
Mm-hmm.
Was Amon Green offered by Nebraska as a freshman?
I believe he was.
So Nebraska, Champ Davis at North, Deshaun Prince at Benson. So freshmen that have been offered by Nebraska. This is an 8th grader in state that's been offered by Nebraska. Yeah, wasn't Amon Green offered as a freshman?
Yeah, I mean, there's just people who have that look too as a freshman. Amon Green's There's a reason he couldn't wear jeans as like a 16-year-old because his legs were so big.
He was a dude.
So yeah, I'm almost 100% he was offered as a freshman.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty cool. When you go back to school tomorrow at Buffett Middle.
How was your weekend?
I got offered by Nebraska.
Oh,
excuse me?
Well, I got the level 4 on this game.
As you're getting your lunch ticket punched, do they still do lunch tickets? Getting your lunch ticket punched, and the person punching your ticket goes, "Hey, did I hear you got offered to Nebraska?"
I think it's on your phone. Right?
Oh, well,
yeah, there you go.
They do lunch tickets.
All right, off and running. If you'd like to join the conversation after a busy weekend of sports, there's also national stuff we got to get to as well. 951-1620, always the access numbers to get into the show. You can always email us in the Equitable Bank inbox, Gary at 1620thezone.com or Handley at 1620thezone.com. Also on the Check Construction Zone Twitter feed at Gary Sharp 1620, at Nick 1620. Also, we have Cocaine Bear watch party coming up on Thursday. Jimmy's going to tell you how you can win tickets today to be part of our exclusive. That word is dropped a lot. Like everybody that's interviewing Matt Rule these days, all the media here are like exclusive. Huh? This is exclusive.
This is.
Nobody else has a Cocaine Bear watch party like we will have on Thursday night. And we would like you to join us, and you'll hear how you can as we roll till 10 on President's Day, 20th of February. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. The Connor Happer Show.
If Mahomes was a horse in the Kentucky Derby, do you think he would have got to run in the Derby the way he was limping?
One-way ticket to the glue factory for Patrick Mahomes.
Take him out back. Well, here's the advantage that we humans have over horses. We can communicate our wants and intentions. Horses can't be like, look, I want to run through this pain.
I can go, coach.
I want to run. I have to do this. This is important to me.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Warming up even more President's Day Monday. Watch out for a little patchy fog in the morning, otherwise partly sunny skies. Breezy in the afternoon with gusts 20 to 25 miles per hour possible. Highs in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the time-saving traffic center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of slowdown from 96 to 90th along L Street. Then on Industrial Road, be prepared for things to slow down just a little bit near 149th. And on Center, be prepared for a minor delay from 183rd to 168th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $908 million, which has helped to provide more than 117,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats across the state, and fund new facilities at the Nebraska State Fair. The Nebraska Lottery, helping to build a better Nebraska.
MD West One and the Ortho and Spine Urgent Care are now open on the southwest corner of 192nd and Dodge. MD West One is voted the #1 private medical practice in Omaha for orthopedics, neurosurgery, and spine. MD West One's new location in Fountain Ridge includes the Ortho and Spine Urgent Care, where walk-ins are welcome. See the specialists directly for any bone, joint, or muscle injury or condition. Go to mdwest1.com for details.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here from my friends at Kugler Vision. It is time to love your LASIK with Kugler Vision because February is Love Your LASIK month, and they are celebrating with special LASIK savings just for you. Go to their website, kuglervision.com, for all of the details. Kugler Vision will help improve your vision. 402-558-2211 or kuglervision.com.
Do you like to shoot fireworks? Would you like to get paid to shoot fireworks? J&M Displays wants you. Help shoot an Omaha Storm Chasers game, Memorial Park display, or any of the major shows in Western Iowa and all of Nebraska. If you like to travel, J&M covers Nebraska, Kansas, and most of Missouri. They offer free training and great daily pay rates, which makes it a perfect part-time job. Visit jnmdisplays.com and click the Join Our Team tab to find out more. J&M Fireworks.
Welcome to the Rib Shack, where Miss Jackie, voted best female pitmaster, prepares the true Southern taste of down-home barbecue and soul food. The Rib Shack was first established in St. Louis and is now in Omaha. The Rib Shack Smokehouse offers the slow-cooked St. Louis ribs, smoked wings, brisket, pulled pork, and fabulous sides. They even offer catering. Rib Shack on the southwest corner of 108th and Q Street, or on the web at ribshacksmokehouse.com. Rib Shack Smokehouse, bringing that unique Southern taste to Omaha.
By now, you know that sound. It's the sound of the Home Depot. But what about those sounds? Those are the sounds of a new Frigidaire kitchen suite, complete with the latest technology to keep food fresh, dishes clean, and cooking needs met for all families. Making this the sound of savings on top brand appliances. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. Get up to 25% off select appliances, including Frigidaire, right now. Offer valid February 9th through March 1st, 2023. U.S. only. See store online for details.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
I know there's a lot of stuff going on with Twitter. Like Saturday was a rough day. Did Twitter change its font?
Not that I know of, but
my font is different, and I don't like it.
Let me look. I have ours pulled up.
Elon, get to work.
Mine looks normal. Yeah, mine looks normal, I think. I don't have like Roman, was it the Roman Times or whatever?
Comic Sans.
Yeah.
Wingdings.
Yeah, no.
Just noticed over the last couple of days that the Twitter font looks really different.
On your phone or just on your normal?
Both. Am I being targeted?
You might be targeted. You might want to report this.
Do I need to pay my $15 for a double verification or a blue check mark?
I did. So I did notice that the double verification,
double secret,
costs money.
Yeah, that's I don't like that because it was. I think I was talking to Evan Bland when he was one of the more recent Omaha World Herald reporters or journalists who got hacked, and I was giving him crap about it. He goes, "Yeah," he goes, that two-step verification I would highly recommend for everybody. So I did it, and now I was told over the weekend
that you're going to be charged.
That you no longer can use the X two-step verification. So just go ahead and let my account get hacked.
Seem like the website is doing well these days.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, will come up today. John Higgins won't leave our life. Nick was at the KU Baylor game, and John Higgins was there.
Oh, yeah.
John Higgins works the Nebraska-Maryland game yesterday with Kip.
Profitable weekend.
They drive down from Omaha. We got to get Higgy on the air because he used to never work Big Ten games. He's working a lot more Big Ten games. So the other guy that was on that crew yesterday was supposed to work the Omaha-South Dakota State game, Rob Riley, and he was a late scratch. So I don't know who is supposed to be with him in Lincoln, but that's two guys that are Final Four officials in Kip and Higgy. But we can't get Higgy out of our life. Would it shock you?
We don't want to, though.
He won't do it. He won't do it tonight because he was just at KU. I was going to say, well, he might.
Well, that game's at TCU, though, right?
Yeah, well,
that
he worked the
Worth.
KU TCU game tonight.
He's probably already in Fort Worth by now. I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I almost kind of expect it. I kind of expect him to be there.
Do people in Lawrence love John Higgins as much as people in Lincoln and College Park, Maryland love John Higgins?
You know what? I did not hear one person in the area calling him out by name. Because there was one call, we were talking about this off the air, something that you brought up about a month ago on some whistles that are almost kind of waiting for the results of whether it goes in and to either give them an and one or if it doesn't go in. All right, we're going to blow the whistle. There was a couple of confusing moments where Higgy was in the middle of it. Didn't hear anybody refer to him by name. So I think there's an appreciation for him.
I'm glad that people are becoming more aware of that. The college basketball has kind of become the NBA this year, where, for example, Tominaga got drilled at the top of the key yesterday. I mean, it was clear that he got hit, and they didn't whistle it until after the shot was missed, instead of right away on the contact. And that's the thing I've seen across college basketball. If there's contact and there might be a foul and the shot goes in, they'll let it go unless it's egregious, and then it's an and one. But they are waiting to see if the shot goes in. Now, I would have a hard time doing that. I was taught, when the foul happens, you blow your whistle right away. But we see it more and more. And I think as more people are now paying attention to college basketball, now that football is all over, people are going to be like, whoa. It's been going on in the NBA for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
But now in college, it seems like there are 2 or 3 times a game where you're like, call the foul. Oh, okay. Because yesterday, like the Tominaga one, the whistle happened way after the contact and the shot had been released. And then it's almost the ball missed, and then they called the foul. And people are like, because people are up in arms, and then they're like, oh.
Well, yeah, it was the one that I noticed in the KU Baylor game. It was right in front of me. I think it was Grady Dick who tried to take a charge. There was no whistle, so you had no whistle on either a block or a charge. And I can't remember which player it was for Baylor, as he put it up, ball rolls off the rim, and all of a sudden then there's a whistle. And everybody was so confused, like, well, wait, are they calling a charge? What are they calling? And then they called it on Grady Dick, and everyone's like, whoa, wait, but you didn't call that early, like a second. And when you brought this up, I really hadn't noticed it much, but it is definitely something you pick up when you are at the arena, because a lot of us, I know I do, the live TV, our live TV is a streaming service. Mine's YouTube TV. And there's always a little bit of like split second out of sync. And I remember it drove me nuts in the NCAA tournament last year. I was watching, like, you would hear these whistles and they always felt like they were delayed, but I just assumed, okay, that was that split second that is not quite synced up with the streaming service. You see it in person, and you're right. I noticed it 3 occasions in the Kansas Baylor game alone. And then watching the game yesterday, it was pretty noticeable too.
It is noticeable because on TV, Allen Fieldhouse, when that game flipped, which is incredible how it went from the first half, what Baylor was doing, to what Self did in the second half, and DeJuan Harris and KJ Adams took over. Was it as loud in person as it appeared to be on TV?
I forgot how loud that building is. I think I went to a Big Monday game a long time ago. It was Baylor, and it was deafening. Like, it was one of those things. I'm thinking, like, during the game, like, gosh, I'd really love to bring my son here at some point. We couldn't take him there, like, right now. He would have to have the noise canceling headphones, and then probably like a hoodie on as well. I mean, it's amazing. And that's the thing about that building, and you guys have all experienced it too. It's just different. And I mean, a lead like that in the blink of an eye is gone. And look, Kansas is good enough and Bill Self is a good enough coach to make the necessary adjustments. But that building has a lot to do with it. I mean, it is just freakishly loud.
So it's fans there will a team to a victory. I'm telling you, tomorrow night.
It's like the Boston Garden.
Tomorrow night between Marquette and Creighton, that place will be rocking.
Yeah.
And fans will believe that they can will their team to a victory. We have seen it happen. Even a little bit yesterday in Lincoln, fans were engaged even under 8 media timeout when it felt like, down by 7, this isn't going to happen. But in that place, of all the places in college basketball, it's the Bill Self, Allen Fieldhouse effect. The crowd gets into it, and you can feel it turn.
Yep.
And Baylor played about as good a first half as you can play on the road.
Could not miss.
Against KU. And then the second half just looked completely different. But they got popped right away out of the locker room. And we've seen it time and time. And a couple of times this year where it flips in that building and you can't get it back. And the next thing you know, you go from being up by 13 to you're down by almost 20.
Yeah.
And once they get the lead, it's over.
Yep. That's KU validated their seeding. I mean, I'm still
with that one.
I'm still holding out that Des Moines gets KU and Creighton. But they've got 13 quad 1 wins. 13 quad 1 wins.
Yeah,
and the Big 12,
number.
which got a lot of love. We got our bracketologist, Tim Kruger, coming up in the next hour. Big 12 got a lot of love from the selection committee and the release on Saturday of the top 16. There's no arguing that the Big 12 is the best conference in college basketball. And it just so sets up, we got KU TCU tonight. And now that Mike Miles is back for TCU actually might be the deepest team in the conference that includes KU and Baylor and Texas and K-State and Iowa State. And then the final regular season game is KU at Texas. How great is the Big 12 for basketball?
Yeah.
We've always said death, taxes, and Bill Self. I mean, every year I would look, what's the closest pod to Lawrence? And that's where they're going to be. So when I saw it was Des Moines this year, there's no doubt that's where they're going to be. You can book your hotel rooms every year. It's rare that they do not end up in that closest one, be it Des Moines or Omaha or what was it last year? They were in Fort Worth, so close-ish, but every year.
I mean, they get 5 seeds that are 3 or higher in the 16 that were released.
Yeah.
A couple of emails in the Equitable Bank inbox. This is from Terry. Hi, guys. Hi, Terry.
Hi, Terry.
The current Nebraska basketball team is fun to watch and one you can get behind. This is what I expected when Fred was hired. It begs the question, what was going on the first 3 years of Fred's tenure? Anybody want to take a crack at this?
Fair.
What's not there in year 4?
With Fred?
What's not there in year 4 with Nebraska basketball?
The winning record?
Bill Moose, Scott Frost,
Matt Abdelmassih.
That's true.
Each year there were a bunch of mercenaries who couldn't spell team if you spotted them, the T and E. Glad Fred's come around, but it's a real head scratcher what those first years were about. He separated himself. He changed. He actually, it's weird how this year, because Fred openly said, we've got to win. So look at their schedule. Would have been easy to do just a garbage Maine, Omaha, those type of games where there's a bunch of bye games.
Right.
I'm not saying Maine and Omaha are garbage, but they're bye games. That they could have done a lot of bye games, but Fred said, we got to get some wins and we got to have our resume look good. And so that's why they scheduled like that. He could have scheduled for wins. So he has changed. He changed in the offseason, and he has changed in this season. And he's going to be back for year 5. But year 5 has to be a trip to the NCAA tournament, or you don't get a year 6. You can't convince anybody that you would get a year 6. But I've stopped thinking about next year and what's it going to look like without a Greasel and a Walker, and just ride the wave. Miles in year 2 caught lightning in a bottle. Maybe Fred has caught lightning in a bottle and they're red hot and they play with confidence and they're having fun. And you got Tominaga, who's on a heater that's got 5 straight games of 20 or more, and everybody in Japan wants to come cover him and talk about him.
I know they were there yesterday.
Zach says, is there any other school with a more old, crotchety, and likable combination of coaches for football and men's basketball than Kirk Ferentz and Fran McCaffrey? Fran got tossed yesterday in Evanston.
This is a fair point.
Northwestern continuing to look very good.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I don't know if I can find a better one.
TL3 writes in. This is fun.
No, everybody's participating.
When everybody's playing well, this is fun. Okay, blue. Red Nebraska. Gotta get black Nebraska going. Yes, Gary. People should hate losing to the school in Lincoln because it is bad. I did. Now on to why this streak is terrible. It's that time of the year where Skirdball wins a few games, and I have to listen to you drool over a bad basketball team. Need to start losing again. Still can't believe Creighton dropped that game. People forget TL3. Nebraska did beat Creighton in basketball this year.
It did happen.
And Creighton should root for Nebraska to pick up key victories because Texas Tech is all of a sudden starting to have a pulse. And so that win looks a little bit better. Can't we all get along?
Yeah.
Can't we just embrace each other?
TL3 also said, Nick, be honest, 14-14 is a better than average year for the program in Lincoln.
And your response?
I haven't responded. My response is, technically 14-14 is 500, so that's average. Now, for this team in the last 4 years under Fred Hoiberg, yeah, you're not wrong. But they got more games to go. So if they get above 500, get ready.
They'll be above 500. They're not losing to Minnesota.
Ready.
They will not lose to Minnesota. You can book it right now. I'm 100% confident they will not lose to Minnesota.
Minnesota
on Saturday at 2:30, Pinnacle Bank Arena. They will not played since yesterday. They're not losing to Minnesota.
Minnesota's going to be on game 4 of a weeks-long 4-game stretch.
All right, 55 past the hour. Coming up in the next hour, Tim Kruger will join us. We'll get his thoughts on the selection committee and their release what he took away from that. Creighton could be in a really good spot with a victory tomorrow night against Marquette. This is a big week for Creighton basketball when it comes to Marquette, because the Creighton women, they take on Marquette on Wednesday, and that's a huge game in the Big East. So it is Blue Jay against Golden Eagle. I missed the Marquette Warriors, but it's Blue Jay against Golden Eagle week between Creighton and Marquette. And we'll get Tim's thoughts on Mick Cronin complaining about the projections of a committee. That's okay. All of us are trying to find a chip on our shoulder. Go ahead, Mick Cronin. You're the next in line. But the reveal actually gave Creighton a little insight into what it might take to get to 4 and maybe get to 3. So Tim will join us coming up at 7:40. Jacob Bigelow and Joel Lorenzi in the last hour of this Monday edition on President's Day, when you're all at home.
Never had the day off. I just kind of laugh.
You guys did have the day off, right? Where you used to work?
Not President's Day.
Oh.
We weren't. That, you know what? And that one wasn't observed either. So we weren't forced to take that day off.
I don't think I've ever worked anywhere that had President's Day off.
I just remember the fact that kids are getting out of school for it. Like, what?
I mean, one of my jobs, we had President's Day off, but it had nothing to do with sports.
Oh, you know what? I take that back. When I spent some time as a banker, we did have that day off. We
Makes sense.
Yeah, we got the government holidays off, but
I got questions about a couple of things that involve President's Day and also something else that I saw over the weekend. And I hope
it is Washington's
everybody
birthday.
else can help out.
Okay.
All right, off and running. Good Monday morning, everybody. Glad to have you in. Nick, Jimmy, and Gary on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
Many people go back to the dealership out of habit or because they think the dealer is the only one who knows how to fix their car. At Omaha Car Care, we offer a better option. We have ASE certified technicians, the technology to service any vehicle, and free loaner cars. The dealer will sell you a package of services. We'll provide the service you want for your car as your trusted partner. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
From basketball to volleyball, baseball to softball, soccer, tennis, and so much more, the Creighton sports season is packed with action. The 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law, covers it all. Each week, we visit with Blue Jay athletes and coaches to hear their stories and document their climb through the Big East Conference. The 1620 The Jays podcast drops each Friday morning and is found at 1620thezone.com and all major podcast platforms. Just search 1620 The Jays. Covering all things Creighton Blue Jays, it's the 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law from 1620 The Zone.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Be easy now. You're teaching a kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Kansas City Steak Company, another AmericanEagle.com success story. Started in 1932 as a family-owned butcher shop, today they're a leading distributor of superior all-American steaks delivered right to your door, ready for the grill and your taste buds. When it came to their website, an average site wouldn't do. They chose AmericanEagle.com to take their website to the next level. With a dramatic increase in competition and a softening market demand, they had two challenges: improve their brand presence and message, and produce a positive return. AmericanEagle.com got to work and executed usability studies and detailed audits of site experience, digital assets, and marketing. The result? An integrated digital marketing and customer experience plan, organic traffic increase of 20%, and a long-term roadmap for success. If you love great steaks, go to kansascitysteaks.com for website design, development, and online solutions that bring efficiency and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. If you need a results-driven website, call the team at AmericanEagle.com at 877-WEBNOW1. That's 877-WEBNOW1.
And now a small business setback is assessed by a beloved family pediatrician.
Oh, hey, Tiger. Big scary tree branch give your work truck a boo-boo? Yeah. Wow. See this thing on my phone here? It's the Progressive mobile app. Just push that little button there and report your claim. Attaboy.
When owning a small business gets painful, Progressive Commercial is here to make it all better. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com.
What's this? candy drawer? Who wants a lollipop?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions. Total claims not available in all states or situations.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone.
Also, I'm reminded because of the President's Day weekend, that gigantic volleyball tournament is going down at the Chai. Like a million kids are playing in that.
Playing all in the conference center ones, where they once played an NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So weird.
My favorite line from a president, which I think can apply to our first hour discussion. Abraham Lincoln, remember his quote? Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe.
I thought you were going to say there's nothing to fear but fear itself.
Oh, I just think for what we're talking about with, learning how to learn, improving before doing, I think that is appropriate.
Do people today, do they reach out to maybe some of their favorite presidential speeches, addresses?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask, do they reach out to their favorite presidents? I was going to tell you that Abe Lincoln might be difficult.
Well,
to
that
reach
one
out
would be
to.
tough, yeah. I mean, unless you have a medium.
You can't slide in his DM.
I don't know. You know what?
You might have a medium that you go to. I don't know.
On President's Day, I'm not overthinking, hey, who's your favorite president? You want to
Should we do a top 5? I have a couple.
Well, hold that.
Oh, well.
We'll get back to that later in the show.
Okay.
We will get into some things that happened at the Chai over the weekend. State wrestling, the dominance of certain individuals, certain teams, and don't you be backflipping when we go to break just because we're going to break. You don't have to hear us yammer anymore. Yes, there was some backflip controversy at the state wrestling tournament. Plus, we'll tell you more about Nebraska football offering a Buffett middle schooler a football scholarship. And it's actually a very wise move. If you are like, no, you can't. It's a wise move for Nebraska. Trust me. I'll tell you why as we roll till 10. Tim Kruger coming up the next hour with his latest bracket. 3 Mondays from Selection Monday right here on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the time-saving traffic center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of slowdown from 96 to 90th along L Street. Then on Industrial Road, be prepared for things to slow down just a little bit near 149th. And on Center, be prepared for a minor delay from 183rd to 168th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
What does Saul's Loan on? Almost everything, like jewelry, gold chains, bracelets, earrings, wedding rings, and high-end watches, guns, electronics, $10 to $50,000, super fast and easy with no credit check. Saul's Loans on almost everything.
Email unsportsmanlike conduct on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox with whatever is on your mind, from your hot takes to what you think is one. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
The year was 1959. Broncos starts serving food that's fine. Now it's 2023, and Broncos is still the place to be. Still serving fresh and never frozen. That's why it's best in Omaha, Chosen. So grab the family and come inside to Broncos Hamburgers, where quality rides.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal is $50 in vouchers for only $25 to Lula Bee's Breakfast Brunch and Bar. Lula Bee's has everything from French toast and omelets to shrimp tacos and burgers. There's even a full bar with uniquely inspired cocktails. Lula Bee's has a festively decorated party room for celebrations or just brunch with all of your friends. Lula Bee's, 9th and Dodge, or at lulabeesomaha.com.
Zone deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com.
You're going to feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
NRG Media in Omaha is looking for a sales assistant. This person will assist our sales team that sells radio advertising and digital marketing campaigns for our 7 radio stations. Work in a creative, fun, and fast-paced environment as you keep things organized. Collaborate with our account executives and on-air talent. Learn and grow. Interested in learning more? Go to the careers page at nrgmedia.com and look for the Omaha sales assistant position. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back in, 7:07. We had an all-star game in the NBA where somebody won the dunk contest that is not in the NBA.
That was fun. I'm not being
Really?
sarcastic either. I enjoyed it. The bar is very low now.
It was a major weekend for Georgetown basketball. Georgetown basketball might have had their best weekend since John Thompson was coaching. They have a former player win the slam dunk competition. Again, he is not on an NBA roster, but won the slam dunk competition. I'm having trouble with
I
that.
thought the
But
Sixers
okay,
just picked him.
do your 540 walk-off win. It looked really nice. That thing is dead. Okay? That is waxed. It is waned. It should be like the All-Star game
And it will be.
itself
Yeah.
last night, which
I gave that thing a glance. I'm like, yep.
I tried, but they kept having a damn concert. I said, can we play
Yeah.
the game?
Yeah, is Post Malone still playing?
Yeah.
I like Posty. But man,
I'd rather see Karl Malone at that time. Play the damn game.
Yeah.
Like it's 7:45. There are kids that have already
Yeah.
fallen asleep on the East Coast.
Last night was unwatchable.
It
There
is.
was no.
There's
it was
my
like,
get off
It was
my
like the
lawn.
end of the Daytona 500. There were no dramatic moments. We've you know what, America? The sports is screwing us the last 2 Sundays. We get kind of an anticlimactic ending to the Super Bowl, even though people forget the Chiefs won. And then
Did they?
we get like the Daytona 500 yesterday was kind of a meh ending.
Yeah.
And then the NBA All-Star game last night, I can't recall like a dramatic moment. Other than there may have been a couple of stars that were injured during All-Star weekend. There were just no dramatic moments with the game last night.
You said it best on Friday. NBA TV was replaying a lot of those old All-Star games. That was the way to go. I'm thankful every year when I try to watch the All-Star game. At least this year I could say, you know what, I need to go to bed. I'm sorry, I don't know who this is. It's singing anyway. Night's over. But I'm thankful every year. I should call Dad today and thank him that we had tickets to the All-Star game in 1996, greatest uniforms in All-Star history, because it was an All-Star game back then. Michael Jordan won the
Yeah.
MVP. Should have been Shaq, but that's not.
It's
neither
not.
here
It's
nor
not a
there.
game. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
It was 129, 118.
You have to observe that and go, okay, nowadays.
Last year was 306 to 274.
not going to put their body at risk. They're going to put on more of a show.
They had the most ever points. I don't know how you fix
Yeah.
it because you just have to let it ride. And this is never going to be like it was. Like with all the All-Star games, they're never going to be like what they used to be.
Just
but
another night's work. Tatum get 55.
Yeah.
It's like all right.
just
Cool.
there were no dramatic moments. It's kind of a meh.
Maybe it's for the best. They did
If it was like, say, I would at least believe this. Let's say it did come down to like dare I say, a final possession. Do you think they would actually D up?
For that last possession?
Yeah, for that last
Yeah, sure.
possession.
Just
Or do you
for
think they
fun.
just be like,
They
go ahead?
They kind of do at the end. But
Sort of.
For the most part, if you're watching the game, you just want to see guys flapping down the floor and a dunk here or there. And
You're not going to see
whatever they're
anyone
gonna
like
do.
Tominaga hitting the floor late in the game yesterday.
So it not only was a big weekend for Georgetown because they have Mac McClung wins the slam dunk competition. He was not on an NBA roster in the slam dunk competition where NBA stars complained that there was a guy that was not in their league was in the dunk competition. Just end that thing, okay?
Yeah.
Just end it. But what a great weekend! So Georgetown basketball, they got a double barrel victory. So they have a guy that wins the slam dunk yesterday or on Saturday night, and then Georgetown basketball wins on the road at Butler.
Boy, a win times 23.
Hey, I like Coach Collier. I know a lot of people don't, but Coach Collier and I are friends. And I think as a AD at Butler, he has made some good decisions. I had no idea why they hired Thad Matta. I know they beat Xavier, but they also have lost to Georgetown at home. And they lost to Georgetown yesterday. I don't get Thad Matta back at Butler. I like Lavelle Jordan. Lavelle Jordan actually Lavelle Jordan's really good on television. I don't get the Thad Matta at Butler. So Georgetown had a good weekend. Also had a good weekend, Garrett McGuire, Nebraska's wide receiver coach, because you might have thought that was Mac McClung. It was actually Garrett McGuire who won the slam dunk competition.
All right.
Now, shout out Terrence Knighton on his staff, on the same staff at Nebraska.
Coach Rose.
Yeah, gave him a little love. And then Garrett McGuire, his wide receiver room and his program offers a player that's 10 years younger than he is.
You think that's why he did it?
I think they did it because
I gotta scale down this age.
Kid's going to be a dude.
Yeah.
Kid's going to be a dude. All right, welcome back in. Tim Kruger will join us in a little bit to break down
3 weeks
his latest bracket. Yeah, 3 weeks from today, we're going to be scouring a bracket and figuring out: are we going to Denver or are we going to Des Moines with Creighton? And will Creighton be a 3, 4, or will they remain a 5? I see a lot of brackets that have Creighton as a 5 playing Oral Roberts, and the winner gets Gonzaga. Does that mean then the winner of that game, if it was Creighton Gonzaga, get to keep Hunter Salas?
Should. A little side bet? Can you do something like that?
Tommy Lloyd in Arizona might have something to say. I have a question here on President's Day, which it is if you did not know. If you're out of school, you're not working, and you don't know why.
This is
it's
why.
President's Day.
And your body clock's why you're up with us.
Yeah.
So good morning.
Did you ever question that when you were young? Like, Mom, Dad, why are we off today?
I don't. You know what? When I went to the Catholic school, I don't know that we ever had President's Day off.
I was public school and we did not.
I don't remember.
We did later.
Really? Gosh. Yeah, the Millard public system did not give us that
Sister
day off.
John Agnes was just so mean. She made us go to school every day, and if we could have gone to school on Saturday, she probably would have made us as well.
But not Christmas.
Oh, no. You had to be in church on Christmas.
Yes.
You had a midnight mass and another mass.
Yeah. No Christmas story for you.
One of the meanest people I've ever encountered.
Did you say she was a Sister Jean?
Sister Jean Agnes. Now,
Not the Sister
rest in
Jean.
peace. No, not the Sister Jean.
She seems nice.
This was a mean nun who was the principal of St. Pius X. And she sided with her fellow nuns. Like if you said, hey, no, Sister Corrine, she's screwing me. Okay? She's not telling the truth. She'd always side with the nuns. Hated it.
So if a nun had an agenda, didn't matter.
Yeah, they could get away with anything they wanted because they had Sister Jean, a fellow nun, was in charge.
And they knew.
So they never took like the student's word.
I'd like
if
to
you
think,
said,
I'd like to
"There's
think
video evidence."
I'd like to think a nun would always be on the level, though.
Now, it probably did not help that Sister Corrine, who was my 7th grade teacher, was senile, and I actually said that. I said, how can I be expected to learn anything when Sister Corrine is senile?
How'd that go over?
Not well.
I called a CCD teacher an old bag once, so I can relate.
Hey,
You called a senile nun senile?
Oh, she didn't know what was going on. I got moved to Mr. Howell's 7th grade class, though, so it was awesome. She didn't know, seriously, she had no idea what was going on. Like, they just kept hanging on. She had nothing to do. So they said, hey, why don't you teach 7th grade at St. Pius X? She was terrible. She couldn't remember things. She would go days where she was nice, and then all of a sudden she was really, really mean.
I was just going to ask, was she like happy senile or a little bit of a roller coaster?
No, when she was nice, she was like your grandma.
Yeah, okay.
When she was mean, she was like a terror.
Like the old lady on Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's
But
Dead.
if I wasn't the only one that brought it up. But if you brought it up to the principal, she would side with her fellow nun. I thought it was very biased. But I got into Mr. Howe's class, and to this day, he's a friend of mine.
I feel bad for her. She was probably dealing with a lot of stuff. Where's your compassion?
Yeah, she was dealing with, she shouldn't have been teaching. She should have been like in the nun's home, hanging out. She was angry when I got moved out of her class.
Saw that as a diss. She took that personally?
Yeah. Maybe looking back, a long time now, I maybe should not have used as a seventh grader the word senile. I was just speaking up for the rest of the class.
You were saying what was on everyone else's mind.
That's what I really mean, but I was just telling the truth.
You didn't.
You
say
were an
it, yeah.
activist. You
didn't say it in a very matter-of-fact way. You're a little more definitive when you said that she was
because,
possibly senile.
I was the fat kid, so I was supposed to be the comedian, so I would just say anything out loud. So I would be usually the one that would talk out loud. And she may have had a thing for me, not in that way.
Whoa, okay, all right. I was like, wait a minute. What the hell are we uncovering here?
So one day in class,
President's Day, all right, clean it up.
One day in class, I, not really knowing what the word senile meant.
Yeah.
I said,
you probably heard it used before.
Yes, and I said, you're senile. And so some people laughed.
Yeah. I'm like, no, that's a real affliction.
I'll just say old Sister Corrine was not laughing.
Was she?
But you know what? I think I started a push because my brother, who would go to the same Catholic school, said that there were fewer nuns that were teaching. So I may have started a trend of like, you know what? Nuns that are a little bit older, they're not beneficial to the students, and they're probably could be used in a better manner, not teaching.
So you were maybe the key cog in a movement that maybe made them reevaluate their vetting system.
Should put that on my resume.
So how they educate.
Yeah.
So good on you.
You saved the lives of many children that followed.
Some have to sacrifice, and I'm sure you sacrificed there. Sure, it wasn't a pleasant experience, but you know what? For the kids that followed, I'm sure they thank you.
And my 8th grade year, I did not get assigned to a room that had a nun. Even though the 8th grade teacher that was the other homeroom, she was a very nice nun.
Did you make her cry?
I don't think nuns cry. Not at least the nuns that were at St. Pius X. Geez, they were hard.
Like if you cried, then they would like give you something to cry about.
They were like guards in the longest yard. No, you couldn't break
mean
them.
They're flipping cameras up so they can't see you.
Even the librarian was mean. Sister
Hornet's Nest!
Sister Marcella, I believe. But she didn't know what the Dewey Decimal System was either. As you can see, I was a problem child.
Apparently.
Okay, so this leads me to a question.
Okay.
And we're back.
All right.
What? I know a lot of people are, off today. Government, banks are closed, schools are closed. Why is this a big day for mattress discounts?
I
thought that when you said people
understood,
buying a mattress.
Yeah, I've never understood the President's Day sale. I've never understood that. It's one of those things that just...
I believe that President's Day is like one of the top selling days for mattresses.
Yeah. I don't know why. Because, and it's, I think I've just kind of learned to accept, oh, it's just a thing without ever really getting the why on it. I don't even know if most people in retail could tell you, oh, this is, I mean, come on, are you kidding me? It's because of this. No, they'd be like, I don't know. Just something we do. Yeah, I have no clue. I don't know what the correlation or the significance of President's Day and mattresses are. Now, you could have a little fun with that and think about all the presidents that we've had decades and decades and decades and say, okay, that could be funny. But yeah, I can't really come up with one. Like a real meaning of why that happens with mattresses or just sales in general.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in learning about my presidents and their mattress activity.
There was a
usually
rumor.
when that stuff gets out, that's
the cigars and
can
blue dresses.
that can linger for a long time.
I mean, there was a JFK Marilyn Monroe rumor. I don't know if you guys ever heard about that or an intern, stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm not. So I'm guessing.
I don't like that
judging
stuff.
here. My question earlier: what president you'd like to have a beer with? You may have named off the two.
Well, yeah.
JFK and Bill Clinton.
Although Kennedy seems like he would be more of a like a whiskey guy. I don't think he'd be a beer guy.
Okay.
Bush the second looks like he'd be cool to have some beer with at the ranch in
Oh,
Crawford. Get
if
the
you
grill
would,
going.
you'd have a Lone Star with him.
Absolutely. You'd have several Lone Stars.
Mm-hmm.
I just
The
know
national beer,
I
Texas.
just know that mentioning this question, I have not looked at the Equitable Bank inbox since I brought this up. I imagine it's not pretty. Yeah. Okay.
It isn't about politics, though. People, It's about
No.
drinking beer
Yeah.
with a dude.
Everything's about politics.
I know.
I mean,
Sadly,
we
sad
could,
but
we could
true.
turn sports into politics. There's a reason why Nebraska baseball is 0-3
ESPN has.
because Trev wants Will Bolt now to get the heat because he wants Fred Hoiberg to.
It said Trev's a mad scientist. He's got a plan. He has people on board with it.
All right, 7:20. Tim Kruger in about 20 minutes with his latest bracket. 3 weeks away. It's a push for Creighton, who is a 5 seed. I think they can move up. And they've also got right now that magical Ken Palm metric. Top 40 offense, top 25 defense. Teams that are in those categories have a chance to win a national championship. And they got a monster game tomorrow night at home against Marquette. And then they have a trip to Philly for Villanova, much improved since Moore came back. But then they play Patrick Ewing's going away night here, and then they go to
His senior
Chicago.
night?
Yeah. But no, this is where I do hope there is a gift exchanged. Like you do see on the farewell tours.
Well, Thad Matta gave Patrick Ewing a gift yesterday by Georgetown winning in Hinkle. All right, 7:21. There's Nick, Jimmy as well. I'm Gary on 1620 The Zone.
College basketball, as you know, full tilt. And we've got not only the college game, NBA will resume second half action as well. And, of course, Big Monday tonight. Great place to watch all of it is at DJ's Dugout, 7 metro area locations. Whether it's watching Creighton while enjoying a Blue Jay lemonade, watching Nebraska, UNO, even UNO hockey, whatever you're looking for, they've got it on their massive media walls at all 7 locations. Don't forget tonight, Monday night, 25% off all burgers and all signature cocktails, pints, $4, 32 ounces, just $8. Check it out at DJ's Dugout. Dig in at the Dugout.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. The Connor Happer Show.
By the way, guys, corn dogs, not a thing. I love corn dogs. You dip them in mustard, you eat one at the fair. Corn dogs are a delicious food, but I'm talking about corn, DAWGS, the intersection of Nebraska and Georgia football players. We're not calling those guys corn dogs. We're not doing it. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
The Connor Happer Show, weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Warming up even more, President's Day Monday. Watch out for a little patchy fog in the morning, otherwise partly sunny skies. Breezy in the afternoon with gusts 20 to 25 miles per hour possible. Highs in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the time-saving traffic center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a significant amount of delay from 192nd to 175th along center. Along Highway 370, it looks like traffic is slowing down just a little bit from 60th to 42nd. And other than that, it looks like your commute this morning should be pretty smooth, even if you're running a bit late. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Love Languages, presented by Fernando's. 3. Receiving gifts.
Here, have a taco.
Come and feel the love at Fernando's, 75th and Pacific, 114th and Dodge, and FernandosOmaha.com.
Email us on the Equitable inbox with whatever is on your mind. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can hit me up, agree, disagree, tell me your thoughts on life at Handley at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Millions of Americans are facing mental health challenges, and many within your organization could be too. Give your team the tools to learn the signs and start the conversation with mental health first aid training. Call 211 or visit unitedwaymidlands.org to sign up for free today.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Shop Sid Dillon Chevrolet, where we sell more Chevys than anyone in Nebraska. Visit us in Blair, Crete, Fremont, or Wahoo, or at SidDillonChevy.com. Chevy, find new roads.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
And now a small business setback is assessed by a beloved family pediatrician.
Oh, hey, Tiger. Big scary tree branch give your work truck a boo-boo? Yeah. Wow. See this thing on my phone here? It's the Progressive mobile app. Just push that little button there and report your claim. Attaboy.
When owning a small business gets painful, Progressive Commercial is here to make it all better. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
What's this? Candy drawer? Who wants a lollipop?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, covered subject to policy terms and conditions. Total claims not available in all states or situations.
Every human civilization has made meatballs. It's something primal yet very elegant. Same goes for the Blackstone meatball, where you can build your own bowl of elegance. Pick your protein, choose your sauce inside, add a super salad, a tasty adult beverage, and wonderfulness. Vegan and gluten-free options available too. The Blackstone meatball, with 2 awesome locations in the Blackstone district at 39th and Harney, and out west on Chicago Street at 180th and West Dodge, and at theblackstonemeatball.com.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. Check out Kugler Vision's Love Your LASIK savings at KuglerVision.com.
Now back up mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. It's time for the Deuce with Jimmy Chavez on 1620 The Zone. All the headlines you need in 2 minutes or less.
Omaha men's basketball falls on senior night to South Dakota State 91-70 at Baxter Arena in front of the second largest crowd of the season at the Baxter. Frankie Fiddler scores a team-high 20 for the Mavs, who fall to 8-21, 4-13 in the Summit.
Weird that the home schedule is over.
It goes fast, but you've said it. 3 Mondays away.
I know this year has not, has gone as planned, but quietly in the last, I'll give him a month, and the numbers that Frankie is putting up. Saturday was a good day for Bellevue West basketball. Bellevue West beat Omaha Westside in overtime, and Jaden Jackson had a game-winning 3. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the matchup for the state championship. Westside playing much better, and Bellevue West goes 24-0. So you have that over at 87 the Pacific, then at 67 at the center. You get a bunch of Bellevue West people there. Yeah, I got the Fiddlers that are playing for Omaha. Frankie is going off. He puts up another night of 20. You got Lewis, who also got to play, and then William Kyle III, who is going to be a star in the Summit League. As a freshman from Bell West at South Dakota State, he had a double-double. He's going to be a star in the Summit League. It was a good night for the Doug Woodards.
I take it there was a lot of South Dakota State fans made the trip?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. This is the warm tropical climate of Omaha. Regular season concludes, again, hard to believe, Saturday at Denver. The Omaha women in their final road trip of the season with an 87-54 loss in Brookings. The Jackrabbits are 23-5 overall. They're 16-0 in league play. Mavs come home for their senior day against Denver on Saturday early. And they play at 12:15. The reason why is because Omaha hockey will have a big one against St. Cloud State. That's after they clinch home ice in the NCHC playoffs of the sweep of Miami, Ohio, winning 3-1 Friday and rallying to win 3-2 in overtime on Saturday night.
Nick is super happy because he'll get at least 2 more games behind the mic.
That's right.
That pay is pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm hoping that I will be working one of the penalty boxes because usually it is some student athletes.
Yeah.
Like the baseball players. Yeah, they're going to be playing.
Yeah.
So I am hoping that I will be in the penalty box.
You had one.
I did.
Was it last year or 2 years
it was
ago?
last year against St. Cloud State, and there wasn't a lot of activity. I only had 2 guys in the St. Cloud State penalty box, and those guys don't like to chat when they come into the penalty box.
No.
I learned right away. I tried to talk it up with one of the guys.
Yeah.
And he had no business and he didn't want to talk to me. You have to pay attention, though. I
Oh,
sat
yeah.
right next to you, and I'm like, they got pucks flying in
Yeah.
there. You can't cheer. Or
How are
anything
you
like
with the
that.
door? How are you with the door?
You know
Because
what?
that's a little tricky.
I was really good with the door.
Good.
So hopefully I'll be in the penalty box. You'll be on the mic.
Yep.
But great for Omaha. It is amazing that they have never hosted since Baxter Arena has been open. This is the first time since 14-15?
Yeah, it was the last year of them playing at the CHI when they
But
hosted.
because it's kind of an unexpected season and they're very likable, they're very gritty,
Mm-hmm.
they played an emotional weekend to find a way to clinch home ice. This does, and I hope, because we do see this when it gets to the playoffs, when it's not in your season ticket package, where you don't have the physical tickets and you have it on your calendar to plan. I mean, like when the Omaha Storm Chasers, when they used to have the postseason, and they would have light crowds for the postseason and be like, wow, it's the postseason. How come people aren't here?
Yeah.
Because it's not normal. I would think, and I saw already, Omaha has been planning for this. So hopefully when they have the first round that they host at home, especially if it's against North Dakota or CC.
Yeah. The beer ready.
You will have a big crowd.
Yeah.
You got some time to sell some tickets because this isn't for another 3 weeks.
I think, if I saw this correctly, that tickets are just $12. Now, remember, this is always ran by the conference. Once you get in the postseason, even if you're a host, the conference kind of oversees the ticketing. And I don't know if that's changed since Omaha's hosted, but I remember that's at least the way it was. But if I saw this correctly in the announcement, I think tickets, no matter what section, I think they're just $12.
That's pretty good. Now, won't that make the season ticket holders a little upset?
Well, I think season ticket holders, and again, I'll have to get this
maybe
information.
they'll be happy
I think
because
you
they
get
won't
first,
be getting money back.
Right.
They already pay for those tickets at the beginning of the year.
I think you, at the very least, you get first right of refusal on those. It's typically how that goes, but I don't know. We'll get some more information. But if I saw that number correctly, that's a really affordable ticket compared to even some of the regular season games, depending on who the opponent is and depending on where you're sitting. It's almost double that.
All right, so they're 13th in the pairwise, which would put them in the field of 16.
Mm-hmm.
They have St. Cloud this weekend. They're 5th in the pairwise, and then they have North Dakota, which is 21st. So they didn't lose this weekend, which would have been a major hit on their pairwise.
Now you got teams that are in the top 25 pairwise, which if you slip, let's just say the splits, you'll be fine. Now, the thing with North Dakota, by the way, if Omaha would get them, and they're always blessed with talent, they're starting to figure it out. North Dakota's getting a little bit better. So if you could avoid them.
Well, I would think if you split against St. Cloud and split against North Dakota, or find a combination to go 2-2 over the last 2 weekends, you're in before the postseason.
I would agree.
Which would be a huge accomplishment, because the one year that they were in, let's be honest, they were in because Denver got COVID.
Yep.
And they got put in.
And Minnesota
Minnesota
just blasted them.
So this would be a legit, we earned our way into the NCAA tournament.
I'd make the argument that last year, the way that they finished, they were probably in a better position if they'd made the postseason than they were that year that they kind of backed into it.
Yeah, they found a way this year. They're 9-1-1 in their last 11. I mean, it's not just they're going to get in and they could make some noise. Now, Denver's going to be a beast.
Yep.
But I mean, Omaha could finish as a number 2 seed.
Well, and remember, they've never made it to the Frozen Face-Off either. They've never
which
got
is-
to that second weekend of the conference tournament.
So wild that
Yeah.
they made it to the Frozen Four without getting to the Twin
Yeah.
Cities.
In fact, they got swept at home that Frozen Four year. Yeah.
Maybe this is the year that the breaks happen for Omaha hockey.
Yeah.
All right, Tim Kruger is going to join us here in a little bit. Jeremy says, text in. He said, yeah, season ticket holders are upset that the tickets for the general public are less than what the season ticket
Yeah.
holders are paying.
And I can understand
So
that.
their goal is to pack the place for the playoffs, which normally probably is going to be down in attendance, and they've had a great year at the gate.
Mhm.
All right. I mean, I see it. They just got to take care of the people, man, that are most loyal and been there with you. Got to find a way.
I would agree. I do want to know, is the conference still kind of dictating how you dole out tickets? Because I know
So they
that was a
So
thing.
you're saying they get part of the gate?
I don't know if they, I think they do.
See, that's.
I think, I'm almost positive that they do.
Come on.
Because I remember when trying to, because, hey, we all try to use our connections when we have them, right? And I remember, when it was a regular occurrence when Omaha would host, I'd always be like, all right, hey, can I get 2 extra tickets? And they're like, we can't, because the conference dictates all that stuff. So pretty much everything, at least as far as I knew, went through the conference. Now, maybe things have changed because it has been a while since they've hosted, but I was surprised, and that's why maybe it isn't that way. When I saw the ticket prices, that to me was very affordable, and I didn't think if you're the conference, I would feel like you're probably charging more, but maybe they're just trying to get everybody there.
Huge accomplishment this weekend. They had a lot of emotion. When they left town after the death of Coach Gerard, I mean, that was rough. And the way they played on Friday night. And then Saturday would have been easy to say, all right, we're down 2-0.
Yeah.
And Pearson for Miami of Ohio is standing on his head. But they found a way, like this team has done. They found a way, and they got it tied. And then Randall, clears the rebound 16, 18 seconds into overtime. That they had just gone to overtime when the basketball game started. It's a win-win. I mean,
you start to believe your team of destiny.
Both goalies play well on the weekend, and Kuharski had not played much of late. But 52 shots on net. Maybe there's more than just getting into the NCAA tournament, winning a game, but to clinch home ice for the first time since Baxter Arena, as wild as that sounds, that makes it even more enjoyable as an Omaha hockey fan because it was unexpected. You just kind of expected, all right, they're projected 5th, 6th range. The NCHC is going to be like it is, so it's top heavy.
Yeah.
If they can get to 4th, that would be great. But if they're 5th, okay, well, they could finish 2nd. That's and probably Mike Gabinet puts himself in line to be the coach of the year in the NCHC. All right, Tim Kruger's coming up next. Later on, Joel Lorenzi will join us. Maybe he can help us figure out, is there a more talented player in college basketball that goes from being one of the worst players on the floor, and maybe I'm being a little too harsh, to all of a sudden being the best player on the floor in Art Kaluma? Art Kaluma's transition or transformation during a game can be crazy at times. From just some head-scratching plays and shot selection, and you go, what are you? And then
get this man the ball.
He's shooting threes and making them, and he goes on a personal 9-0 run. I can't recall a player that has that much of a wild swing during games like Art Kaluma does. And he was on display Saturday night, and a big reason why Creighton fought off a St. John's team that just uglied it up. And you had we're talking about Nebraska basketball yesterday, and their win as a TEAM. Creighton had one of those wins. 2 of your top players won a combined 4 of 22. You got Reef, who I'm happy for him, came off the bench. He ate up Posh Alexander, hit some shots. Their bench was
bench production
compared to the Providence game. I mean, Creighton had a TEAM win on Saturday night out in the New York City. So we'll get to Joel about that, because might also have to ask him, what's up with Baylor Shireman? Kind of hit the wall this week. Is that more than just tired, or is this something to keep an eye on? All right, Tim Kruger's coming up next. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
Guys, let's face it, there is a time when you just need to get out of the house, to have your own place, to be with the guys, or just a quiet, relaxing place for yourself. Well, Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge hears you loud and clear. Settle in. Escape to Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge for an incredible selection, plus premium cocktails, a knowledgeable, friendly staff, state-of-the-art humidor, and incredible lounge. Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off I-680 at 48th Street, next to Cubby's.
You can find pizza anywhere. But when you want pizza pie piled high with more toppings, that's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Pick pepperoni, beef, black olives, you choose. All this food for only $29. Feed your whole mob without breaking the bank. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
Listen to Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay Overtime, the Creighton men's basketball postgame show on 1620 The Zone. Live from DJ's Dugout downtown. It's right after every home game, presented by Barry Law. Exclusively on your home for the Creighton Blue Jays. 1620 The Zone.
Omaha Maverick women's basketball is home for their final regular season game, welcoming Denver to Baxter Arena Saturday. Tip-off is set for 12:15. Hear all of the Omaha women's action against Denver Saturday at noon on 1180 The Zone.
MD West 1 and the Ortho and Spine Urgent Care are now open on the southwest corner of 192nd and Dodge. MD West 1 is voted the #1 private medical practice in Omaha for orthopedics, neurosurgery, and spine. MD West 1's new location in Fountain Ridge includes the Ortho and Spine Urgent Care, where walk-ins are welcome. See the specialists directly for any bone, joint, or muscle injury or condition. Go to mdwest1.com for details.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
3 Mondays from now, we will be going over a bracket. We're actually going to spend all 4 hours on 68 teams. Every team will get a couple of minutes on the show. I kid, but you guys tune in 3 weeks from today. So Selection Sunday is right around the corner. The selection committee released their top 16, and we turn to our selection expert, our bracketologist, and his bracket will be out again around noontime on stadium.com. It is Tim Kruger. You can follow him on Twitter at TK Brackets. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I applaud you for doing that. There's probably nothing that bothers me more than the couple days before the tournament that people talk, 3 hours of NBA on their show. So I applaud you doing that because that's what everybody wants to hear, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's figuring out their bracket.
Yeah. Hey, before we talk about your bracket, I got a question because this team bugs me. And I think I want more, but I don't know how to get there. Man, shouldn't St. John's be better than they have been under Mike Anderson?
Well, I would say yes, in general. I think, it's not the easiest. Everybody thinks of St. John's, but if you're ever driven by where St. John's is, it's not the greatest area in the world. And it's tough to recruit to. They don't have a big, sure they play a couple games at Madison Square Garden, but, they probably get the smallest gym in the league. His coaching acumen at this point in his career, I don't think you can question it up until now. But his acumen is being questioned quite a bit by a lot of New York media types. So, it's kind of the style they play too, right? And the problem this year is they just haven't been able to finish games out. I don't know, they had that near meltdown against DePaul, and they had one against the Butler. Yeah, so they, and then the other night, my God, they had 8 minutes chance to really take control of that game. They didn't do it.
Tim, how much did, with the revealing of the top 16 and maybe more importantly for Creighton fans, with Chris Reynolds talking about Creighton just outside of a potential force, he'd mentioned, teams like Miami and St. Mary's and UConn as well. Where does that kind of put the discussion, in your opinion, with Creighton, especially with the week that they have?
Yeah, at first I took him to say that it was razor thin between Creighton and Xavier, I think it was, on the bottom. And the more I thought about it, what he said was, I think he meant to say it was razor thin between UConn, Creighton, Xavier, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people thought Creighton was in the 5 line already, so it wasn't a huge shock to say it was razor thin between those other teams. I think that's promising for Creighton, meaning, hey, you still got a chance to get to that 4 line. In general, I don't know what you guys thought. I found his comments to be like, first of all, they were very short.
Yes.
He answered every question with about 5 words. Secondly, I found his comment, he was kind of all over the board and kind of like really didn't want to give away anything, but tried to give away things. And he was just very hard to read as to actually what went on in that room.
Yeah.
So with that said, you hear Mick Cronin's comments for the second straight year. is Mick Cronin. Is there any validity to his dispute of these bracket previews? He called them comical.
Well, I don't think. I think they're doing it way too late now that they pushed it back. I mean, this needs to be done 2 weeks ago, because now you're getting down to the point of you're pretty much saying, if you look back on the history of this thing, I think, what did they say the last 2 years? 30 of the 32 teams were in the top 4 seeds that they picked on the reveal. So if that was the case then, my goodness, now it's really not going to change. I don't know. I'm sure he's a little ruffled that he's behind Arizona, but he has no Q1 wins. So I would say to Mick, beat somebody, first of all. Secondly, he, besides that, even, he doesn't have a whole lot on the resume compared to other teams around him. I mean, you can't deny what Arizona's done so far with those 5 Q1 top wins. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Go ahead.
And if you throw any kind of eye test into the mixture, UCLA just doesn't have. Man, they struggle against some teams where you think they ought to be pulling them out. So I don't know.
And he's in a conference. You've got 3 Pac-12 teams. UCLA, Arizona are 2. You've got Creighton as a 5. We'll get your thoughts if they can move up. But I want to. You brought something up about quad 1 wins, and watching North Carolina State yesterday. This is a North Carolina team that returned 4 starters from a team that was up 15 at halftime on KU in the final last year. Preseason number 1. It is February 20th. They are 0-9 in terms of quad 1 games. They're 16-11 overall. Are we to the point, if North Carolina makes it into the field of 68 without a run to the ACC automatic bid, aren't they just going to get in by name and brand recognition only?
Yes, but I'm telling you, the committee doesn't do that. I know people think they do, but they don't. They're going to judge North Carolina on their resume. It doesn't matter if it said Hofstra in North Carolina. They're going to judge the resume as it is. I'd like to say something about North Carolina going back to last year.
Feel free.
That tourney run was fool's gold. And everybody that thought that, they're just immediately going to be number 1 this year. When that came out this year, I was like, that's nuts. Because I don't think Hubert Davis is a great coach. I just don't think. I think you look at that team yesterday, my God, just no adjustments. They just didn't really figure out what North Carolina State was doing, and it really wasn't that difficult. They don't go through Baycott near enough, in my opinion. I just thought when that run came, I was like, yeah, okay, let's see if that carries over to this year, and it did not.
Tim, the Big 12 again. We know we talked about. I mean, I don't even know if it's close right now as far as the depth and what that conference is showing amongst the Power 6. West Virginia on the bubble as a team. I know you are considered as last 4 in the Big 12. Again, kind of a similar question about Creighton with the week that they have with the remaining schedule at West Virginia. Is there a number here to finish out the regular season that you feel like they have to hit to kind of feel safe, or is there going to be some work to do in Kansas City, in your opinion, for them?
Well, I kind of held my nose and put them in the field just because there was nobody else. Had North Carolina won, I could have seen a path to put them over West Virginia. The committee's never put in a team that has that horrible, even though conference records are considered. They've never put in a team that I think 5-9 was the worst conference record they put in. So, I mean, their computer numbers are fine. They've just got to win some games. That's just, they're 15-12 now. They've got it. It doesn't really matter when you're in the Big 12. Every win is a high, Q1, 2 win. So it doesn't. It's not like some conferences like the ACC. So they've just got to win. Yeah, I would say if they won 3 out of the next 4, that would put them 7-11. That's a doable conference record. And the way everyone else is performing on the bubble, that would give them an overall. Let's say they lost in the first round of the Big 12. That would be 18-14. That's good enough to get in.
Well, and I saw they have Okie State, KU, Iowa State, Kansas State to finish out the regular season. So tough stretch, but also opportunities, right?
Yes, but on the flip side of that, have they shown us they do anything with these opportunities yet?
Right.
You know, they got the one home win against Iowa State and TCU, those two, and that's basically it. They've got the one road win against Texas Tech. That's it. Quad 4 and 1 and Quad 3. So, they went out and at least tried to schedule a little bit in the non-conference. They've got the number 4 overall strength of schedule. But at some point, they're going to have to be better than 4 and 10 in that conference and better than 15 and 12. And like you said, those 4 games, although, you've got an Oklahoma State team where I don't think we're really totally sure on yet. And Kansas State until Saturday was kind of slumping a little bit. So, they've got an opportunity.
You got 8 teams from the Big 12 that are in. Tim Kruger, who is the bracketologist for Stadium.com, joining us as usual. The bracket will be out about noon. The Big 10, you have 9. So Wisconsin, last 4 in, lost to Rutgers. First 4 out, Michigan. Second 4 out, Penn State. Of those 3 teams, let's say only one gets in. Who would you be more likely to include if they finish respectable this year? They don't go on a run where they're unbeaten, but they finish respectable. Of those 3, who's got the best shot to stay in or get in?
Resume-wise, it would be Wisconsin. They clearly have the better wins of any of those teams. Penn State, I think those losses started adding up here about 2 weeks ago, and I just think they're too far out now to make a run. Michigan has a possibility. I mean, there's a real possibility for Michigan. They're 12 spot or 11 spots better in the net than Wisconsin. So I think that's a tough call, Gary. I would probably go with Wisconsin just because they typically make those late runs and improve their position in the field. But I wouldn't be at all shocked with Michigan. Michigan's computer numbers are better, way better than Wisconsin. So if that means anything, although if you got to be careful of doing this, read too much into what the committee just did.
Yeah.
It looked like they went really with net score until they came to Connecticut, and then for some reason they just didn't feel that was relevant.
I know that we asked you this question last week, and then the week that was until they played Ohio State, which is a get-right game for just about everybody in the Big Ten right now. But Purdue, are they close to slipping back to 2, or do you still feel pretty good about what they've shown? And again, maybe getting back on the winning side of things helps the cause more.
The committee apparently feels pretty good about them.
Yeah.
Putting them at 3 over Kansas, although I think if they voted today, I think Kansas would edge above them after beating Baylor. To me, I think Baylor's the best of that next 4 rather than Texas. I think they probably got enough in the bag here to hang on to that top line. Unless they have some unexpected stumbles, but I think they've got enough to hang on there. And again, we get back to the Big 12, right? There's 3 teams right behind them, but again, with the Big 12 schedule, it's awfully tough to go night to night in that league. Where you're going to go on a 6-7 game run, it's just really impossible. And now that TCU's back healthy, they look like they're back to where they should be. So that should be fun tonight with Kansas. But hey, I want to say something quick. How about those Huskers, Gary?
Hey, do you know that they have one less quad 1 win than Houston?
I knew you were going to say that. Well, I tell you, there's a lot of teams rooting for them. They've had losses to Nebraska or had wins, and hey, they can move up into that. Like for instance, Creighton can move that win from a quad 3 to a quad 2 if they keep moving up.
You brought up TCU real quick here. and Miles being back is huge. And I think when they are full strength, they might be the deepest team in the Big 12. They're currently a 6 seed. They got KU tonight. They could be one of those dangerous. Oh man, how are they a 5 or a 6 seed? But one of the teams that is a 5 seed that probably people would not want to see is Creighton. And you were the first last Monday. You had Creighton, Oral Roberts, Gonzaga, and it might have been UC Irvine, who you have as now. And I noticed a lot of people mimic you that had Creighton 5 playing Oral Roberts. But tomorrow night, Marquette currently is a 4 seed in your bracket. You've got Creighton is a 13 in the net. Marquette is a 14 in the net. Creighton's 4-6 in quad one. Marquette's 5-5. There isn't a lot of separation. The standings in the Big East say there is one game of separation. The rest for Creighton is nothing that looks sexy on the resume. It's more of a because you have Villanova, you have Georgetown, DePaul. If Creighton is able to win tomorrow night, will that affect them as long as they hold serve against Villanova? Will that affect them when we talk to you again next Monday?
I think it would just depend on other teams as well. Kind of a factor importance of that game tomorrow night as well. Big East tiebreakers. So let's say Creighton wins. Now you got 4 teams tied, right? But Providence and Xavier have to play each other. They both have much tougher roads down the stretch than Creighton and Marquette. If after this game, Marquette, I would be shocked if they lost another game. So let's say Creighton and Marquette win out at that point. If you go down through the Big East tiebreakers, even all the way down, they tie all the way down to the very last one, and that is net ranking. So it's really important. Creighton wins that game. That should give them maybe a 2-position cushion in that. But then we know the networks. It wouldn't hurt them to like blow a couple of those teams out.
Yeah.
And move up in the predictive metrics. But if you've noticed this year, the net rankings haven't changed all that much.
No.
Like Wisconsin was a case in point. They won a couple games and actually dropped, didn't play, moved up, and now they, lost and stayed basically where they were when they started. So it might not move as much as we think it's going to, but that's, there was a little bit of gap between Creighton and Marquette. Now it's closed. So, that's another caveat to the whole thing. But yeah, I do think probably you'd have to put them, especially, UConn's got a big game coming up too. So I think if Creighton were to beat Marquette, I think you might see a slide to them in the 4 seed. Although overall, like where you're going in the NCAA tournament and even the first round, it'd probably be better for them to be 5. Actually, it really wouldn't matter, to be honest with you, because it looks like those 4 seeds are all going to go to either Albany or Orlando.
Good stuff. 3 weeks away. I know you'll release this to the public later today. We always appreciate it. Thanks, Tim.
Yep, you bet.
It's Tim Kruger, who also you got the Blue Jay Banner podcast. Huge game tomorrow night for Creighton and Marquette. I will say, if Marquette comes into Omaha and wins tomorrow night, they don't need to play anymore the rest of it. Just give them the conference title because they will walk into a Hornets nest tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Just it's so crazy. Like we were just talking in Jimmy's update about Omaha men's basketball, by the way, playing their final home game. And I said this to Crutch the other night. We said on the pregame show, I said, man, this year has flown by. And it started way back in November. And the next thing you know, it's the middle of February and your home portion is over. And Omaha has at least 2 more games remaining. But it just shows you that while basketball flies by, it is a long season and you have to ride the roller coaster of the ups and downs. I mean, Nebraska basketball, for the most part, has had a good season, except for a couple of hiccups here and there.
Would you stop drooling over Nebraska already?
They've got 1 less quad win than Houston, who's a number 1 seed.
Yep.
Creighton is the same way. You realize the last time that they played Marquette, that was December 16th. There was that. There was doom and gloom on that Friday night in Milwaukee.
It felt like 5 seasons ago.
So you ride the roller coaster, and then tomorrow night, you have this set up where Marquette comes in as the leader in the Big East by just a game. I think the Big East tournament is going to be fantastic at the top. And then you're going to have the Seton Halls of the world that are fighting to maybe get in. And maybe Villanova all of a sudden finds a spark because they played much better now that they're getting healthy. Is if Marquette comes in here and wins tomorrow night and they sweep Creighton. Now, if they win, they're more likely going to win anyhow. But if they come in here and win on the road against a much different Creighton team in a place that should just be absolutely bonkers, just Marquette, you just take it off until you go to Madison Square Garden. You've won the Big East.
Yeah.
You don't need to play 3 more games.
The roller coaster you talk about, too. Just think of the state of the mind when these last 2 teams played. Where Creighton fans, I mean, we were talking about, are they going to make the tournament? Is Creighton even going to make the tournament? Now with a chance to win the regular season, too. And it did. It felt like it was, a season or 2 ago when this was going on. I mean, it was just a couple months ago. And I feel like every college basketball team is going to kind of point to that moment of the season, some more extreme than others. But it's a long season. It doesn't always feel like that. But, Creighton having gone through that with the opportunity they have tomorrow night. But you're right about Marquette. I mean, that would be, without question, the signature win of all signature wins that they've had because of the stakes and the type of environment that they are going into. It's going to be awesome. I mean, it really is going to be awesome to see that tomorrow night.
All right, straight up 8 o'clock, an hour away. Jacob Bigelow will join us. Thoughts on what happened last night at Pinnacle Bank Arena as Nebraska beat Maryland. First time since February 19. They're 500 the month of February. Yeah. And right now, they would play Ohio State in the Big Ten tournament, and I would play Ohio State. That had the makings of just a beatdown yesterday afternoon against Purdue. It happened.
Yeah, it did.
Chris Holtman is, they can't get that season over soon enough in Columbus. So that'd be a great matchup for Nebraska to begin. By the way, weird that Iowa was favored against Northwestern, but that's for a whole nother thing. Jacob will join us coming up at 9, then Joel Lorenzi stops by at 9:40 with his thoughts on what Creighton did last week. You had the Providence double overtime game. Legs might have been a little tired. You come back home, then you fly back out to the East Coast. You play St. John's. They're an odd team to play, but you have the advantage of Mike Anderson being on the other sideline.
Who would you rather play right now, Minnesota or Ohio State?
I'll play both of them back to back. Get done with one, take about a 25-minute break.
Take a nap.
And then play the other one. But Joel will join us coming up at 9:40. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone.
Hey, at Woodhouse Mazda, they've got the 2023 Mazda CX-15. As you look outside, we've got our melting from last week's snow. Maybe you're thinking about some of those spring and summer outdoor adventures. Well, you got the perfect vehicle to do so. The Mazda CX-15. Whether we get a little bit of more snow this week or not, this vehicle can handle it all. From the standard all-wheel drive to all of the great amenities that you get with the available turbo engine that can handle all terrain, making the drive feel that much more in command. Also, so many great safety features. And then there's things like the panoramic moonroof that will help enhance the scenery wherever you might take your Mazda CX-50. Get to know the 2023 Mazda CX-50 for yourself at Woodhouse Mazda in Bellevue or Woodhouse Place Mazda in Millard, the Omaha Metro's exclusive Mazda dealers. You can shop, finance, and buy online at WoodhouseMazda.com or WoodhousePlaceMazda.com. Experience a friendly and knowledgeable sales staff with a streamlined process to save you time and no-pressure sales. Chat with a sales team member online and easily schedule a test drive, check vehicle availability, and more. Woodhouse Mazda, a drive worth experiencing.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of slowdown on 204th at Q Street. On Dodge, be prepared for some minor delays from 80th to 72nd. And along Industrial Road, be prepared for some significant delays near 138th Street. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Everyone knows Saul's pays top dollar for your gold, but Saul's pays cash on the spot for your precious metals too. Silver, gold, platinum, coins, bars. Who wants to wait to get paid? Get to Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Saul's Jewelry and Loan. You'll find it all at Saul's Jewelry.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Previously on the crossover.
They're eating poop left and right. They did. Do you guys not remember this?
They're eating poop?
Eagles fan eats horse poop. February 6th, 2018.
That was one person.
It's a new thing, probably.
Cowboy fan derangement syndrome.
No.
Come back in full force.
No.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. The Connor Happer Show. Unsportsmanlike conduct. 6A to 6P. 1620. The Zone.
Your Omaha Maverick hockey team is at Baxter Arena taking on St. Cloud State for their final regular season home series this weekend. Pregame is at 6:30 Friday. Puck drops at 7:07. It's UNO versus St. Cloud State on your home for Maverick hockey. New Star 1290 Coil.
Do you know the common signs of transmission trouble?
Your engine revs before falling into gear. Shifting is rough, or you're leaking reddish-brown fluid.
Knowing the signs could mean repair instead of replace.
That's where we come in. We're certified transmission.
The job done right at the right price.
The year was 1959, and Broncos starts serving food that's fine. Now it's 2023, and Broncos is still the place to be. Still serving fresh and never frozen. That's why it's best in Omaha chosen. Burgers, tenderloins, French fries, and more. Dine in or drive up at either store. So grab the family and come inside to Broncos Hamburgers, where quality rides. Broncos, 45th and Leavenworth and 120th and Pacific.
This needs to go to Parkville by 3.
Joy to the holiday packages that keep coming at Jimenez Couriers.
It's coming your way, but the drop-off location is changing.
She needs delivery drivers with the gift of punctuality.
Anyone looking to pick up some overtime? Anyone?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Halftime brought to you by Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off 680 and 48th Street, next to Cubby's. It's Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge.
All right, good Monday morning, everybody. Happy President's Day. Do you celebrate?
You got family in town?
For President's Day?
Yeah.
Have a big meal later?
Yeah, big deal.
I do not. My
Yeah.
favorite president of all time? Dave St. Peter and Steve Gliner, who I worked for in the Twins organization.
Then specify which presidents.
I've come within, I would say, 200 feet of one president.
That's-
no, actually, two
that's
presidents.
200 more
I just
feet than I
remembered.
have experienced.
So when I was younger and in school, you have the Iowa caucus. Ronald Reagan, before his second term, went through our school.
Okay.
And, didn't come in our classroom, but did the photo op with another classroom.
Okay.
And then when Nebraska and Cal State Fullerton played in the College World Series, Stanford Tulane played beforehand, Bush Jr. throughout the first pitch. And so he walked by our booth where we told we could not come out as the president walked by. So those are my two brushes with presidents of the United States.
I think my closest brush would have been, and again, I was nowhere near the area. Now Obama spoke at Baxter. I was in Omaha. So, the vicinity. And then also on 9/11, unfortunately. I remember didn't see it, but hearing Air Force One when I was living in Ralston. Like, why is there a plane? I know they grounded everything. That was kind of freaking, then found it out like an hour later. Oh, he landed it at SAC or at Offutt. Sorry. I'm like, okay.
All right. Our question, which president would you want to drink a beer with? We'll answer that at the end of the show. But let's talk to John to kick off the hour. Good morning, John. Thanks for the call. Welcome to the show.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, John.
Gary and Nick.
How you doing, John?
How's it going?
Oh, good. Yeah, I had a question. Some of these bracketology has Creighton as a five seed, playing Oral Roberts as a 12 seed, and Gary, since you follow kind of the Summit League pretty closely, do you think that would be a good matchup for Creighton?
It's an interesting matchup, John, because they share a lot of similarities. They all have shooters 1 through 5. They don't turn the ball over. They share the ball really well. They have a shot blocker. They're kind of, in terms of a Power 6 conference team against a mid-major team, they kind of mirror each other the way they want to go at it, offensive efficiency. Now, I would worry about the depth of Oral Roberts running 5+ at Creighton's 5, but it would be a very intriguing matchup. It would more than likely be a very high-scoring matchup with lots of threes, and it would have some elite players like Max Asmus of Oral Roberts, and then, of course, the guys on Creighton's roster. I would be very intrigued by it, but I think Creighton in a matchup like that would be about a 6 to 7 point favorite.
Oh, Oral Roberts last year made it to the Sweet 16.
The COVID year, they made the run to the Sweet 16, and they were a Max Asmus shot at the buzzer away from getting to the Elite 8. They still have a couple of key pieces from that team, but he had a running mate named Kevin O'Banner, who's now at Texas Tech. But Max Asmus is, first of all, never gets tired, and he's an elite guard. The problem with Oral Roberts when they have played Power 6 teams that have more length than you normally see in the Summer League is a guy with Asmus. They will make him catch and shoot a 3, so off the dribble instead of pass. Asmus is wide open and launches it, and they've had success there. That would be if I was doing a top 5 must-watch opening round matchup, Creighton and Oral Roberts would be in that top 5, no doubt.
That 12 versus 5 suite.
Those are weird games.
5 seed is those where the upsets are. 12 over 5.
You can usually count on at least one 12.
Yeah. Yep. Those are weird games. John, thanks for the call. You'd also get to see now. Here's the strange thing about Oral Roberts, and Oral Roberts is right now the best team in the Summit. South Dakota State, when they're at full tilt, might be the better team. We're going to find out. But Oral Roberts has just rolled through the Summit League. Ironically, the team that has actually played them the best is Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
Omaha had a chance before the new year to beat them here. They lost by 3 and then had the ball in Tulsa up 1 with 3 minutes to go and ended up losing by 9. But Max Asmus never gets tired. I'm blown away. I've seen him for 4 years, and he can come back for another year, by the way. So whether it be at ORU or, he's never gone into the portal.
Mm-hmm.
He's 2 straight years said, I'm thinking about going to the NBA, and then pulled his name out and has come back to Oral Roberts. And it's great for the Summer League. He could actually have 1 more year, but the kid never gets tired. I mean, he's an elite shooter, and he will shoot from wherever on the floor. But, for example, Houston blew them out earlier in the year, and they were really physical on Asmus, and they didn't let him. Everything was off the dribble, and threes were contested. But what would be a really in-depth, figure-this-out matchup would be Kalkbrenner against Connor Vanover. So you know what Kalkbrenner can do, how much of an effect he has on both ends of the floor, and especially in the paint, is Oral Roberts has 7'5" Connor Vanover. Now, his legs are sticks.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw Bol in person at Oregon, and I'm like, man, let's go to the buffet. I will lead
I'll
you
take
there.
you there.
Because his legs were like super tiny. So
Right.
Connor Vanover is 7'5". He transferred from Arkansas. And I wonder when he runs down the floor if all of a sudden those legs are just going to snap. But he's blocking shots everywhere.
Right.
And he steps out and shoots the 3 with a pretty good percentage. So I don't know. It'd be a fun matchup because both teams have 1 through 5 that can be 3-level shooters.
What does that, or because you brought up Kevin O'Banner with Texas Tech now, what does that team look like if O'Banner doesn't go to the portal? I mean, is that that's without question, the
They're-
best Summit League team we've ever seen.
They're probably scheduling a little bit differently.
Sure, yeah.
And they've won a game where even if they don't win the conference tournament because the Summit's a one-bid league, they get into
There are
the
two,
dance.
yeah. That's I thought about that even last year of like, man, if Oral Roberts stayed intact, and I'll be curious to see if Asmus stays, but if O'Banner didn't leave and what they're doing right now, it's hard to like imagine what that team would look like, even on a down night, what that team would look like.
Observation from yesterday at Pinnacle Bank Arena. First of all, Keisei Tominaga is a huge fan favorite. There's the buzz in Japan. There's a buzz here. People love him. He shows up on the pre-lineup video. People cheer. He's announced in the starting lineup. People cheer. People want their picture with him everywhere he goes. The McGowans run on the floor, and who's the first person they go find is number 30. And he's been a game changer in this 5-game stretch
Really
where
has.
Nebraska's won 4 of 5. So I'm trying to figure out who's more popular and who gets a bigger roar inside of PBA, Tominaga or Matt Rule. So I did a picture. So took Richie from Papillion, who, if people listen to Sports Talk Radio, they know who Richie is. But him and I've known each other for a long time, so we go to one game a year. And he's walking out last night, and I was ahead of him, and I stopped, and I looked back, and I was like, oh no. There's a man in a black jacket with his family, and all of a sudden Richie is right next to him, and I'm like, no, because I know it's Rule.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, he is just talking his ear off. So I sauntered over to save Matt Rule from talking to my buddy Richie. And Richie goes, take a picture. And I'm like, I'm not getting in the picture. There's no way. So I took a picture of him. And then I felt bad because Rule had stopped. I mean, he was standing with his family.
Right.
And people were very kind. They were walking by. I don't think they immediately recognized him. And then all of a sudden it was like picture time.
Uh-oh. So
I apologize. My friend Richie started everybody taking a picture, but Rule is extremely popular.
Yeah.
He did, he's done interviews. He did a lot of interviews last week, and I tweeted out the team working out in the stadium on Friday. He tweeted out a picture of the weight room this morning. What wide receivers against defensive back competition.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole rebuild, reset, restart,
retool,
all of those things.
Rerule.
Spring football get here 4 weeks from today. Do people believe that Matt Rule looks at his football team and says, yeah, that was a 4-win team last year?
No.
I don't think he thinks that he's inheriting a 4-win football program.
Nope. And I don't think that's what we want to believe. I don't think that that's for a football program that has underachieved. And some interesting stuff on that recruiting part of it too. But the underachievement where you want to believe that at some point it has to turn around. When you kind of factor in what Matt Rule took over at Temple, what he took over at Baylor, I think everybody, for the most part, has said it. And I don't think that it's necessarily fandom or rosy red colored glasses when you say this, but this is less of a challenge considering what he's dealing with compared to Baylor and Temple from a roster standpoint. Now, as everybody knows, there's unique challenges to everything. There's the Big Ten. There's the changing Big Ten. There's a lot of different things that make this job really challenging. But when you just look at a pure roster standpoint, what you have coming back from last year, this is out of those 3 jobs. This one, I don't think, and I think a lot of people would agree, is not going to take on the same type of challenges where it's just impossible to get your mind into anything greater than 3 wins. At Baylor, at Temple, you knew there needed to be a long runway. You knew that this was going to be a pretty long overhaul, and yet that timetable was expedited. Good on Matt Rule. Here, there's stuff there. It's how quickly they're able to kind of get everything in order, figure out the quarterback position, what you're going to do there. There's things to work with is what I'm saying. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. So I don't think he does. I don't think he looks at his teams like, I mean, I'm gonna give the song and dance and say, hey, we can, we don't have to lose in year one, but behind closed doors, like, guys, we'll be lucky to win 2 games. I don't think he's saying that at all.
No. I think he's going to be very disappointed if they're not in a bowl game.
I agree.
Because here's the difference, and here's the change from Scott to Matt Rule. And Matt Rule, inheriting a team that went 4-8 and hasn't been to a true bowl game in a while, where you didn't get into a bowl game because you had good grades, is he's walking the fine line of watching film and seeing that 4 times Nebraska led in the fourth quarter and lost. And they only won 4 football games. And remember what he said about Iowa, a team that's 4-8 or at that time 3-8 doesn't win a football game like that. So there's something there. So he's walking the fine line of not putting players or coaches from last year, throwing them under the bus when he looks at and assesses what he's inheriting. I don't think he looks at it and says, I'm inheriting a 4-win team. I also think he looks at this job differently in year one compared to Scott Frost. Remember when Scott was hesitant, 11th hour, T.O. comes down. Scott, you got to take it. You got to take it.
Yeah.
But Scott had said to people in kind of vetting the Nebraska job, do you think you can win at Nebraska? Well, when you start that way, you're always, okay, what is in my way? Do I have the tools necessary to win? I think Matt Rule approaches the job and he expects to win. I mean, everybody now knows about 3 months in, this is a uber confident staff in the way they carry themselves, the way they talk to coaches, and the way they lay out a plan. They are very, very confident in the plan they have in place. And he would be, I'm just going to say this, I think he would be very, not just disappointed, I think he'd be discouraged if they're not practicing in December to get ready for a bowl game, because I think he expects to win. But he's not going to leave it out there of, oh, no, this isn't a rebuild, because he doesn't know what he has yet.
Right.
And it's going to be a big lift, but he's kind of gotten ahead of the lift by what he has added. But I truly believe, and I think it was Tom's article or column about his sit down as part of the World Herald sit down with Rule. I don't think Rule looks at this. This is not a 4-win team in his mind. I think when he's at the morning workouts today, he's not looking at fellas that are back from last year going, you guys only won 4 games.
Yeah.
I think he's looking at it as this was a bowl team last year and maybe a 7-win team that we've got to figure out why there is a disease of losing when it matters in this program. And once we overcome that, you're going to see you're not a 4-win football team on paper.
Well, and that's a major diagnosis right there. I mean, that is the thing that everybody has been asking. I would even say the previous staff was searching for the longest time. I mean, for all of the negativity about the Scott Frost tenure that we can bring up, and it's just, don't get me wrong, he was a defeated man. You would watch him time after time on the sideline. That was a guy that, probably to his own doing, but a guy that was defeated, that couldn't find the answer. And you could tell it was weighing on him. It was frustrating him. And that is something, talk about the challenges that each previous stop for Matt Rule has sort of brought on. This is the biggest challenge for Nebraska right now, is how do you sort of shake out that culture? I mean, because we've heard coaches, we heard from the strength and conditioning coach to position coaches. Terrence Knighton brought it up too. That culture. Corey Campbell talked about it with Jessica Cootie. That culture, when you think of close games, fourth quarter, finishing out. So it's not lost on the staff. And I don't think any staff that would have come in here, whether it was Matt Rule or anybody else, would have completely dismissed or ignored that. But that is the main challenge, is figuring out why that exists and how you are able to overcome it. What's the answer? I don't know. It's for them to figure out.
Well, that's what they're figuring out here in January, February, and March before March 20th comes around,
right?
Which is 4 weeks from today.
Yep.
Which
it's exciting.
Seems like a long time ago, but oh, by the way, Michigan begins spring football today.
How about that?
Hawaii will be done with spring football. Like their spring game is March 6th. Are they doing that for all the tourists?
Maybe.
Like,
come on out and see our spring.
For example, KU, Jimmy, KU starts spring football the end of this month.
Wow. They're usually late.
Yeah. But Michigan, who, I don't know, it's a new week. Will there be another dismissal of a coach there?
Perhaps.
Stay off the computer. Do not play global thermonuclear war.
Well, the next one to figure out is linebacker coach. They mutually agreed to part ways. You got fired. Okay.
Yeah.
No, when I get fired here, it's not going to be, we mutually agreed to part ways with Gary Sharp. And I said,
we relieved you of your radio
you know
duties.
What? Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, you know what? I don't want to do this job anymore. Yeah, we're good. Yeah. No.
And they're like, yeah, you know what? I think we are too.
So something happened there. So, well, there's always Michigan drama, but I was curious that they're starting spring football this early.
Is that an attempt, though, to not split up? Like, when you get into spring break, like you see certain programs now starting really early because they do have spring break, say, what would ever be 15 practices down the line, but they don't want to go through like, hey, we got an interruption. So you either have to go early or you have to go really, really late.
I don't know what the benefit is because their season ended.
Yeah.
What was their, okay, so they played on New Year's Eve.
Yep.
So there you go. You got January, you got end of February, basically, before they start spring football. So they don't have, and they probably haven't been back on campus that long.
Probably
so they have a short winter conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think their spring game might be the first Saturday in April. So they have a long drawn out spring football, I believe. Jimmy, you might want to look that up. I don't know what the benefit of going this early is. Texas under Mac Brown used to do this all the time. They would get done with their season. They would have a short, about 5-week layoff, and then they would go right into spring ball. Now, you also got to keep in mind, when you start spring ball early and you're done, does that help with your what we need out of the portal?
I think it does.
Or help players get a head start before that window officially opens on May 1?
I think it's mutually beneficial. I think it is, because then you have a little bit more of a plan of what you're trying to identify when that window's back open.
All right, 26 past the hour. Coming up next, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? College baseball. Is today a must-win for Nebraska baseball?
It is.
It would be encouraged.
We'll talk about that. The weekend in baseball didn't go so well for Omaha. Went really well for Creighton, especially on the mound. Not so good for Nebraska. And they play today to avoid going 0-4 against a good San Diego team. But bad baseball in February, isn't bad baseball in May the same?
And some familiar things.
Yeah, we'll get into that. A little bit later, Jacob Bigelow and Joel Lorenzi are Nebraska Creighton hoop heads on a Monday of Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. All right, basketball is fun. We've told you that. It's been fun for a while, depending on who you're rooting for. Well, you can make basketball fun with your son or daughter and take them to the next level with Omaha Sports Academy. Now we are in full spring. We're going to gear up for the spring and the summer, and Omaha Sports Academy can help you get there, enhance your love of the game, and also your skill set under the direction of OSA-trained coaches and their full-time staff that have a lengthy resume of success that shows you rosters that have over 150 boys and girls on varsity rosters and over 50 players, boys and girls, that are in college, including half that are in Division I. Look at, you watch a game at the Chi, you watch a game at the Baxter, you watch a game at the PBA, you're probably going to see an OSA product. Tryouts are coming up soon, end of this month, for boys and girls Utes, February 27th to March 1, and for girls in high school, March 5th, boys March 12th. There's never a fee. For more information, log on to the website, omahasportsacademy.com.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on The Crossover.
They're eating poop left and right. Do you guys not remember this?
They're eating poop?
Eagles fan eats horse poop. February 6, 2018.
That was one person.
It's a new thing, probably.
Cowboy fan derangement syndrome.
No.
Come back in full force.
No.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. The Connor Happer Show. Unsportsmanlike conduct. 6A to 6P. 1620. The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Warming up even more President's Day Monday. Watch out for a little patchy fog in the morning. Otherwise, partly sunny skies. Breezy in the afternoon with gusts 20 to 25 miles per hour possible. Highs in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. On 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the time-saving traffic center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of slowdown from 183rd all the way to 168th along Center. Then on Dodge, be prepared for a very minor delay from 94th to 90th. And on L, it looks like you can expect a significant slowdown near 90th Street. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $908 million, which has helped to provide more than 117,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats across the state, and fund new facilities at the Nebraska State Fair. The Nebraska Lottery, helping to build a better Nebraska.
Creighton Sports Update. Creighton men's basketball is back at CHI Health Center on Tuesday as they host the Marquette Golden Eagles. Tip-off is set for 7:30 p.m. Limited tickets are available online at gocreighton.com/tickets. That's Creighton versus Marquette, Tuesday night at 7:30. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
From basketball to volleyball, baseball to softball, soccer, tennis, and so much more, the Creighton sports season is packed with action. The 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law, covers it all. Each week, we visit with Blue Jay athletes and coaches to hear their stories and document their climb through the Big East Conference. The 1620 The Jays podcast drops each Friday morning and is found at 1620thezone.com and all major podcast platforms. Just search 1620 The Jays. Covering all things Creighton Blue Jays, it's the 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law from 1620 The Zone.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
The year was 1959, and Broncos starts serving food that's fine. Now it's 2023, and Broncos is still the place to be. Still serving fresh and never frozen. That's why it's best in Omaha chosen. Burgers, tenderloins, French fries, and more. Dine in or drive up at either store. So grab the family and come inside to Broncos Hamburgers, where quality rides. Broncos, 45th in Leavenworth and 120th in Pacific.
Are you the kind of person who feels sorry for anyone who works in an office? If you prefer to be outdoors in the sun, or the rain, or the hot, or the cold, then Quality Irrigation would like just 30 seconds of your time. If you have experience with irrigation systems and would love to work with a team that'll make your career more rewarding, Quality Irrigation is the kind of company that'll reward your hard work, smart ideas, and initiative. Visit quality-irrigation.com and click the Careers tab to apply today. Equal Opportunity Employer.
1 in 3 people in the Omaha Council Bluffs Metro is facing a mental health challenge. Mental health first aid training helps you learn the signs and gives you the tools to start the conversation. Call 211 or visit unitedwaymidlands.org to sign up for free training today.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. It's time for The Deuce with Jimmy Chavez on 1620 The Zone. All the headlines you need in 2 minutes or less.
The Creighton women squeaked by Georgetown 75-34 Saturday at Sokol. They led 24-5 after one quarter, and the rout was on. They led 40-13 at halftime, led by as much as 44. They're now 19-7 overall, 13-5 in the Big East. They'll look for win number 20 Wednesday night at Marquette. They're pretty good. The Nebraska women fall to Iowa 80-60 in front of a record crowd of 14,289 at PBA. The game was actually tied at 31 late in the second before the Hawkeyes closed the half on a 9-2 run. Caitlin Clark, who we discussed quite a bit last week, she was booed often. Oh, yeah.
Hey, and she
She had 30 points, 8 assists.
She buys into that.
Oh, she loves it.
Oh, God.
There was one moment going to timeout where she thought she got fouled. She decided to kind of sit under the basket and have a little mini tantrum.
She's on your team. You love her. Maybe you do, but because she's a winner.
Yeah.
But man, when you play against her and some of her antics,
she screamed at a fan after she was fouled and she scored. She clapped and it looked like she was screaming at the fan. The fan played with it, but
she feeds off your rage.
Hey, she's a rock star, man.
Yeah, and she knows it.
When Iowa plays on the road, Scott Docterman tweeted this out. Teams are averaging 3,300 more fans when Iowa and Caitlin Clark come in. I mean, Nebraska women's basketball is right now in the danger zone. That's
14 and 13 now. They're 6 and 10.
I asked Tim if St. John should be better. Nebraska women be better?
Yeah.
But I don't think so. I think compared athletically to other teams that are like, Indiana and Iowa are on a different level in that conference.
Right.
I think there's something wrong with Nebraska women's basketball.
Did I say it right too? Indiana for the first time
with you.
since '83. Just won the Big Ten. Wow.
But if she's on your team, you take her. She's an absolute rock star. So people went there. Iowa's nationally ranked.
Yeah. Game day's going to Iowa City this weekend.
It's just like the Nebraska volleyball effect that I see, where young girls they wait to get autographs from the Nebraska volleyball players after games. The amount of young girls, whether they were Iowa fans or Nebraska fans, that waited for Caitlin Clark to come out of the locker room. I very rarely have seen that. And she is very accommodating. By the way,
That's cool.
I was talking to an Iowa fan who, they live on the western part of Des Moines, so they, so it's actually closer to come to Lincoln than it is to go to Iowa City. Yeah. They say every time they've gone to an Iowa women's game, Caitlin Clark will, time permitting, will stand and sign autographs for everybody. So she's done a good job of growing the game, but she feeds into that, man, because people listen to our show and they got after her, but that just kind of
right away.
I apologize,
Amy
Williams.
Yeah, you saying we didn't help? But players like that, it's great for the sport. It is.
Gets people watching.
Because when you have if we want to, I don't even know if I'm using this appropriately, but if you want to have a quote villain, but she is cold-blooded, she can do something about it. I mean, that's great in any sport.
She had a 3 from about 27, 28 feet at one point. Looks no big deal.
It just invokes emotion one way or the other. I mean, it's great for any sport. And I mean, the fact that she's damn talented and despite a full house, like a packed house, just raining down booze on you, you just thrive in that. Like that's awesome to see. That's great.
Mm-hmm. She's helping grow the game. And College Game Day is going to be at the Iowa Indiana game.
I obviously have done a lot of women's games, and it was very cool to see that many fans at a game. And I told my wife, you would never see this in Lawrence. They could give away money and you would never get that many fans there. So the Nebraska fans should be damn proud of themselves, and their players, it should mean a lot to get that many people because it smashed the previous record.
I was excited to call
it was a great atmosphere. I mean, it
was fun.
Unbelievable. And we've seen that when women's coaches in this state say, hey, we need a little extra boost. Come and watch our product at a high level in person. Even though I don't think she should have to do it, Kirsten Bernthal Booth, Coach Booth for Creighton Volleyball, kind of put out a call. Let's pack the CHI for Nebraska, Creighton Volleyball. She's got her program at a point that I don't think she has to ask people to come to Sokol, but she does because she's helping grow the game.
Right.
Nebraska, Amy Williams said, hey, we want to grow the game. Here's an opportunity. And when there have been calls like that in this state, especially for women's sports, people heed those calls.
Yeah.
And we saw what happened with volleyball back in September. Mm-hmm. We saw what happened on Saturday. It was a great crowd. And there were a lot of Iowa fans there. There were also probably some Nebraska fans that don't normally watch women's basketball that said, you know what, I'll come in and sample the product, and maybe they come back the next time they play.
Yep.
My in-laws have season tickets. There's a reason. They love supporting them. They go to as many games as they can.
All right, coming up next hour, Jacob Bigelow and Joel Lorenzi. College baseball over the weekend got started. I noticed that some colleges had issues with the pitch clock. That could be an issue moving forward before you get used to it. Some had issues with the competition they played. Not great for Omaha to go on the road and play a Big Ten team to start, and going to UCLA, who may end up here in Omaha. And it was not a good weekend for Omaha baseball. They gave up 47 runs and only scored 2. But they were their own worst enemy a couple of those games.
Yeah.
Creighton, who gave up an unearned run in a pitcher's duel on Friday, bounced back, and they got transfers that helped out. Alonzo helped out on Saturday, and then Kleinsorge on the mound yesterday. And Creighton was really good on the mound, and they won 2 of 3 against McNeese State. I don't know if you saw this or not. So the portal can giveth and taketh away, and it tooketh, a word I just made up, from Creighton after offseason. Did you see Jared Wagner, what he did for Arkansas over the weekend? So he transferred from Creighton?
Yeah.
Ooh, there's a reason why Dave Van Horn was very excited to get him. He tore it up in the 3 games that the Hogs played. But then there's Nebraska baseball, Nick. And it is early. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You are playing San Diego, which is a regional team.
Yep. Conference champion.
But bad baseball in February sometimes can mean bad baseball in May. And Nebraska baseball is 0-3. They play today. I hate to say it because it is a long season. It's February 20th.
But
it's kind of a must-win for Nebraska.
Yesterday was tough.
Well, yesterday was
8-2.
Everything was yesterday was completely different from the previous 2 games.
Right. You had a huge lead.
So they keep showing, and good, they showed like highlights of the game going on. They showed Max Anderson's bomb over the hitter's background.
Great to see.
In San Diego. So they kept showing the score at the basketball game. And then when it was 9-7, I don't think they ever showed it again. And Nebraska blew an 8-2 lead, and they lost 10-9.
Yeah.
Will got thrown out of the game. He had a valid argument on a hit by pitch that was called on one team, wasn't called on the other. A little bit of frustration. But they go from atrocious, same old, lots of swings and misses, runners left in scoring position on Friday and Saturday, to all of a sudden the offense wakes up yesterday, and it was a carry and a Columbus, and Max Anderson, who got off to a slow start, is crushing the ball. And you're like, here you go. This is a feel-good Sunday. They have a chance to split the series. And then again, they got 3 straight days of good starting
They did.
Olsen, Kaminska was really good for his 5 2/3. Clark in his debut was good. Ooh, that back end of the bullpen. Hello.
Yes.
And now they're 0-3. Just a start that looks like there's some stuff that looks all too familiar to last year's 23-30 season.
And that is what, going back to Friday night, the amount of runners left on base, the swings and misses, the offensive woes, and that's been my chief concern going into this season, is why I couldn't necessarily put them as an NCAA tournament team or a team that could make it. And I'm not trying to say, hey, and that's validation what happened this weekend, because this is a long, long season. But it was a little eerie seeing some of those same issues where you get guys on base, never been a problem, but then you get some really non-competitive at-bats afterwards. You get a guy who's going to roll over a ground ball. Then you get 2 strikeouts after that. They had the bases loaded in a situation yesterday where you got nobody out. I'm trying to remember. They got 1 run out of it. I think someone got hit. I can't remember how they got 1 run out of it, but then the following sequence was strikeout, ground ball. Those things happened too often last year. It gave Will gray hairs. But one of the areas, and I know you and I were kind of in agreement on this, where I thought the strength of this team, and it still can be, again, this is just a small sample size, the bullpen, because I think they have a lot of options. I think they have a nice blend of some young, explosive arms combined with some more experienced college pitchers that understand how to get outs. You needed that yesterday more than any to sort of put out the flames and just hold on for a victory. They didn't get that. Even Shea on Friday wasn't sharp. He wasn't all that solid. And Shea's kind of an enigma. You can go a month where Shea is just lights out, and then you'll get a game or two where you're like, he can't find the zone at all. And you can kind of see him wearing that, body language. Just, again, some pitching woes, some inconsistencies in the zone, and just lack of offense when you needed it with guys on base. it was a little concerning. And I try to keep the perspective of it's a long season, but man, there were some familiar things.
But those offensive woes persist. Like I look at Saturday. So Saturday, they got in the 6th and the 7th, they got the leadoff runner on. And what promptly happens? Both innings. The next 3 are retired in order.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. Your first 2 got on, and you weren't able to push across a run.
And it's like just a quiet threat.
And then the 8th hits again in San Diego, just like they did on Friday night. They won the ball game in the 8th inning. And then last night or yesterday, late afternoon, they walk it off. I mean, they play at noon. They play at 2 o'clock Central, noon out there. That's a pretty important game for Nebraska baseball because you don't have many opportunities.
No.
Like the way the schedule is set up. You know, if you're thinking about, man, getting into the NCAA tournament, even way out there hosting a regional, you can't start the year 0-4. I don't care if San Diego goes on and has a really good year. You just, coming off last year, you can't wear a collar on the opening weekend. You just can't. And the way that you play looks all too eerily familiar.
Right. That last part especially. And, when you kind of look at their schedule, you've got South Alabama. So quick turnaround because you're going from the West Coast and you're going to play South Alabama this weekend. But then following weekend, that Cambria Classic up at the Twin Cities, you got Vanderbilt. I mean, you got squads that you're going up against. And so if you can't salvage at least one out of this weekend, depending on what happens this upcoming weekend against South Alabama again, which is going to be challenging just with a short turnaround travel-wise, and then to have to play that type of competition in 2 weeks, you could dig yourself a hole. And you know it as well as I do. Teams get off to those slow starts sometimes. It can be tough.
They never recover.
Exactly. It can be tough to sort of kind of dig yourself out of that avalanche. So it's not, again, keeping the entire season in perspective, it's not a must win, but in a lot of ways it is today.
All right, when we come back, everybody good with Nebraska football. And this is, I think, the second 8th grader that they've offered. Well, now it hits closer to home. Lost in all of the excitement yesterday of Tobin Managa mania, Nebraska football offered a local 8th grader. We will discuss the ramifications of that. It's actually a very, very smart move. Next hour, more on basketball from Nebraska and Creighton. Creighton, a monster game tomorrow night against Marquette. It is for the lead in the Big East. Is that game sold out yet? I've not seen a Rob Anderson tweet that the game is sold out.
If it has to be. Yeah, I haven't seen anything yet
it's
either.
It's a Tuesday. It's, maybe it's a Tuesday. That game's got to be sold out.
It has to be.
Because it's going to be one of the better games of the week. The Big East. So we're talking about the Big 12 schedule. The Big East schedule of where the big boys are going head-to-head this week. It's a good week for Big 12 and Big East basketball. And one of the bigger games will be here tomorrow night. We'll have a lot more on that tomorrow. But Joel Lorenzi will join us in the next hour. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Hey, shop Woodhouse Buick first and experience the difference. Trust me, you will not be disappointed when you stop by their climate-controlled indoor showroom at 119th and I. Lots of new and pre-owned inventory. The vehicle that you're looking for. They say that on President's Day, there's a lot of new cars that are sold. You know what? Be one of those people. Head over to Woodhouse Buick GMC, 119th and I. They have lots of new and pre-owned inventory for you, whether it be a stylish SUV or a capable truck, a light-duty pickup truck, for business or for pleasure, or check out the 23 Buick Envision Essence. Now with great vehicle, unique design that enhances fuel economy. They have a panoramic moonroof. Who doesn't want a moonroof in their vehicle? You know what? Not everybody has a moonroof, but this Buick has. Find it today. Take it for a test drive. 119th and I, or you can see all of the same inventory online. They've streamlined the entire process. They make it easy on you. WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone.
It's time to find a career that's right for you. Metropolitan Community College can help you find a new path forward on your time. Whether you need a degree that puts you on a path to a new career or need to finish a degree you've already started, MCC makes it affordable and convenient with a flexible class schedule, online or on campus. It's your time to path forward. Let MCC show you the way. Register today. Classes start March 9th. Apply today at mccneb.edu/adults.
Peerless Energy Systems is Nebraska and Iowa's locally owned and operated authorized Solaire air compressor distributor. Peerless Energy provides products and solutions for compressed air systems, helping companies in manufacturing, food processing, transportation, auto body repair, car dealers, and more drive industry efficiency through service, support, and relationships. Let Peerless Energy Systems help you increase efficiency with your compressed air system today. PeerlessEnergy.com.
By now, you know that sound. It's the sound of the Home Depot. But what about those sounds? Those are the sounds of a new Frigidaire kitchen suite, complete with the latest technology to keep food fresh, dishes clean, and cooking needs met for all families. Making this the sound of savings on top brand appliances. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. Get up to 25% off select appliances, including Frigidaire, right now. Offer valid February 9th through March 1st, 2023. U.S. only. See store online for details.
Join Genesis Health Club today for just $10 and save $20 per month every month with no contract. Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen, owner of Genesis Health Clubs, here with the secret to healthy fitness habits. It's true that there are plenty of people who manage to stay consistent with exercise over lunch or after work, but the real secret is scheduling exercise into your daily routine. Pick a time, and that is your time to exercise. What is more important than your health? Nothing. So what time are you working out tomorrow? I'm inviting you to give it a try by joining Genesis Health Clubs for just $10 and save $20 a month, all with no contract. Whether your exercise is at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m., schedule your exercise because it's the most important part of your schedule. And now life's little interruptions won't stand in your way. My dad always told us, don't put something off till tomorrow that you can do today. Make today your day for better health. Come into any Genesis location or go online and get started for just $10 and save $20 per month with no contract. Go to GenesisHealthClubs.com to get started today.
Do you have taxiety? That twisted feeling inside knowing that doing taxes on your own can be a windy, complicated road. At Liberty Tax, our knowledgeable tax experts know the difference between W-2s, Schedule Cs, and 1098-Ts. Visit LibertyTax.com to schedule an appointment with Liberty Tax today to get your largest possible refund guaranteed. Liberty Tax will provide you the most accurate return and the largest possible refund you are entitled to receive. See website for details or visit a location.
You're going to feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
By the way, shout out. I do want to get to state wrestling, but I want to give a shout out of a sport that has so many good people in it that are coaches, wrestlers, fans, people that cover it. The sport of wrestling, when there's ever controversy or something of note, wrestling people take the high road. They're first class people. Shout out to our friend Nick Rubeck, who was on here the other day before the state wrestling tournament started from the World Herald, and the guys at Nebraska Wrestle. Fantastic coverage of the state wrestling tournament, where Millard South set a record for points and won another state title. Scott got a state title. We had a 4-time state champion from Bennington. I mean, there were a lot of great stories. I want to get to it next hour because there's part of the whole backflip thing.
Yeah.
But I do want to get to this. So I've always wondered, there's, and I said this about Scott. When Damon and I were together, we would talk about this, and this would get Damon fired up. Because I would say, there's so many people that want to help you be successful with Nebraska football. Now, there are some people that are hangers-on in there in a got-to-go situation, okay? So when Matt Rule took over, I said, you got to do it your way, okay? You know, do it your way. And if you have to shun some people that want to hang around the program, kick their butt to the street, okay? Because they're not good people. But there are a lot of people that want to help you. And they want to help you because they're part of the family. There were a couple of players that were from the Dallas area. And we know now, Nebraska really wants to recruit Texas. From the Dallas area that came up for the spring game last year and were recommended by Reggie Cooper and McCathorn Clayton. When was the last time you thought about Reggie Cooper or McCathorn Clayton?
Can't tell you.
But they live in the Dallas area, and they're around football at the 7-on-7 level. And so they're like saying, hey, there's this guy down here. So there is a huge network of alums and people that want to help Nebraska football because Nebraska football can't be everywhere.
Right.
Sometimes you go, nope, we can do it on our own. Or you say, really? Let me have the guy's name.
Yeah, appreciate that.
There's also right here in this town. So there's Steve Warren. Steve Warren is doing an amazing job. Warren and Vers and other people that help with the Warren Academy. And we've seen what that's done. Not everybody that is under the tutelage of that great organization go to Nebraska, but it's exposure. Okay. And more young men are getting the opportunity to play football at the next level, have school paid for them, which is the ultimate goal, which is fantastic if you're a mom or a dad. But they do it the right way. And Steve can't openly take the best players in this area that he works with and say, hey, you know what? Lincoln looks really good. But, you know, when you're working out with former Huskers, it's there every day.
Yeah.
Abdul Muhammad. Pretty good wingback, right? National championship wingback. He is in the community, Boys and Girls Club. Abdul has gotten big into the 7-on-7. Assistant coach at Benson. I imagine now that Coach Mackey has gotten the Central High School job, leaving Benson, that Abdul will go to Central with him. Okay, so there's somebody that's in the inner city that knows kids that are overlooked, i.e. Jalen Lloyd. Even though Jalen, running track and playing football at Central, was really, really good, but does Nebraska know about him? Well, you got an alum that's in the community, okay, that knows about him. And there are other people that are, especially here in Omaha, that work with athletes, that know athletes, and that want to help Nebraska. Hey, look at this kid named Deshaun Prince. He's with Abdul's 7-on-7 team. They're in your stadium right now. That's how Deshaun Prince, who's at Benson, wonder if he'll go to Central, got noticed. They called up, you know, Kenny Wilhite and Mickey Joseph said, hey, you got to come look at this kid. He's down here on the floor of our stadium playing 7-on-7. What happens? He gets an offer. Champ Davis at Omaha North, who just finished up his freshman year, got an offer from Nebraska. So there's a lot of people in this community that some players that are just coming up, you know, not everybody has time to watch the 7th and 8th grade.
Right.
Now, every high school football coach in this city and in this area should be at every 8th grade game. I'm just saying. You get to know these players, but how is Nebraska supposed to know about an upcoming 8th grader or an upcoming 9th grader? If they use their network properly, they will know early. And so you have to rely on those resources. Not everybody is built to say, oh, you can help us and I'll let you help us. Some people are like, I will do, if you want to help us and send a name our way, we'll look into it. And that's kind of what I think Matt Rule might be doing. And there's another element of this. Jalen Lloyd's father, Dante, is a great track and field coach. I mean, great family, period, but works with the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Midland, the Jaguars track and field program. Well, who is in that track and field program? Torrey Pittman, who is an 8th grader. He's at Buffett Middle, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. He got offered by Nebraska yesterday. Now, he is exceptional in track and field. He is also really, really good in football. He has the look, and I will tell you that, you know, I think he's either 6 foot or 6'1"
already,
which means he's taller than me on a good day. But when you start to hear people say, because I don't have a 7th or 8th grader, I don't really want to go watch 7th and 8th grade football. But when people mention certain names, a Torrey Pittman, a Caden Logan, Aaron Sims' son, our good friend down in Lincoln, his son's a good quarterback. When they start to mention like young kids' names, you kind of either go and look for their film.
Right.
And it blows me away that 7th and 8th grade kids
have film.
Oh, yeah.
Their middle school championship film is up on the internet. You kind of go and look and you're like, okay, but you remember those names. And when I got the text from Schaaf yesterday going, I think Nebraska offered an 8th grader. And I go, yeah, I think it's an Omaha kid. He's in the Benson Junior Bunnies program.
Right.
I'm like, whoa, is that so we were saying, and Nebraska's ahead of the game. He's got the look And so they get in early, generate some buzz, and then you sit back and you wait for a few years.
Yeah.
But it's one of those offers of, okay, Nebraska used their network in Omaha. Somebody let them know that this kid has the makings of being really, really good. And I'm pretty sure for the first time in state, Nebraska has offered an 8th grader. I could be wrong, but I believe that's the first time. The first freshman has to be Amon Green. And then we have seen, of like Deshaun Prince and Champ Davis. Now, Deshaun Prince was going into his freshman year when he got offered last summer. This kid is currently an 8th grader here in this city.
Yeah. And the Amon Green one was kind of a no-brainer. He was just different the way he was already built. And I was watching some of Torrey Pittman's film too. Like just nice little smooth stride, looks effortless when he's kind of gliding. I mean, he stands out. And that's funny because, the 7th and 8th graders, the highlights, you're not necessarily seeing. I'm sure there are probably some in Texas and stuff that already have like the, where you're spotlighting them. And so you know exactly where they are. What's kind of great about his highlights, you know exactly where he is because he stands out from everybody else on the field. And I feel like, again, this is more of this staff leaving no stone unturned when it comes to how they are going to evaluate talent. And I remember there was a time when everybody would be up in arms when we'd hear like Nick Saban offered an 8th grader, Lane Kiffin's going after a 7th grader. Like, and it's, you can joke about it because when you do think of the maturity physically and mentally of a 7th grader and wondering if they're going to have what it takes to play at the big time level of a college football, that remains to be seen. But as you just pointed out, you get in on that kid early and you sit back, you kind of wait and see what happens, how the development takes place. But I also think there are certain, and even Amon Green, between Torrey Pittman and Amon Green, 1 year difference. I'm not trying to say Torrey Pittman is going to be Amon Green, but there are just some guys that stand out. You can tell this person's different. We've got to show them the interest now because that's going to go a long way, especially when we're the state school in their home state. We're showing them that type of appreciation and that type of attention now. You never know what's going to happen, but I think you can also kind of distinguish who just looks a little bit different and might be on that path of someone we're definitely going to want. Why wait? It's not commonplace. You don't see, a blanket of offers for 8th graders or even freshmen. You pick those, and those are rare things, but they are more common. And it is kind of interesting to see Nebraska go that route. But I'm not surprised given how this staff is kind of going about everything.
We're going to talk here shortly with Amon Green, and we'll have to ask him when he was at North, because that's where he started before he ended up at Central, if that's where he was first offered a scholarship by Nebraska.
Yeah.
Because I never can I recall, in my time following this, Nebraska has offered an 8th grader in state.
I don't think it's ever happened.
When they're actually in 8th grade.
Well, I would like to know if Amon Green was having any conversations because I believe he played for the North Omaha Bears. And that is a hell, at the time, at least that was a hell of a football youth select program. I mean, they had some just absolute studs going in and year out. I wonder if there were conversations when he was in 8th grade because, again, he was standing out, kind of like what you're hearing with this Torrey Pittman. Like, you watch all these guys like, this kid could be good over time, but you watch this guy like, this kid's good right now.
Hey,
this kid could be a starting varsity running back as an 8th grader right now.
I'll give you a little idea on how the sausage is made. So he gets an offer yesterday, and in your mind you go through, okay, an 8th grader, okay, watch and follow. In my head, I'm thinking, wow, I bet Omaha Central is going to be one of our TV games in the fall.
Yep.
Coach Mackey knew and they have now a freshman on the field because that's, people eat that up. They want to watch those high school games for, all right, who's the guy being recruited? You get a heavy dose of West Side and the Bellevue West and the Retinas and stuff like that. I'm thinking, all right, well, Central's probably going to be one of our TV games in the fall.
Yep.
All right, 9:03, a little bit behind time. We'll get to Jacob Bigelow. His thoughts on Nebraska basketball, which has won 4 of 5. They've gotten to 500. The first time that they've been 500 in the month of February since 2019. And they could go a game over 500 because they play Minnesota on Saturday. And Minnesota's lost 9 in a row. And as Nick has told you, they're going to be playing their 4th game. And they're going to have all kinds of snow up in Minnesota. Yeah. So it could just disrupt them.
Yeah, they're getting hammered with snow right now.
Oh, that's okay.
They can keep it.
And I'm bad here because I mixed a little Minnesota North Dakota accent.
Yeah.
And it's
You betcha.
it's very different.
Oh, I could just go straight Canada and just talk about the process.
Yep. I spell my defense with a C. Jacobs next on 1620 The Zone. Hey. As you know, there's a lot of stuff going on, especially basketball season. You've been hearing us talk about that huge game coming up tomorrow night at the Chi between Creighton and Marquette. How would you like to be there? College basketball in full swing as we count down to March Madness. If you need tickets for the biggest games for Nebraska or Creighton, man, how about that? Back-to-back Tuesdays, you get Marquette at Creighton tomorrow night, and a week later you get Michigan State at Nebraska. Ticketsforless.com is the best selection of tickets, all with no per-ticket fees. Yeah, this isn't like other places where you go, whoa. Tickets for Less, you go, dang, here we go. We're cooking with peanut oil because you're never going to have to pay those per-ticket fees. So save even more also when you use my special promo code, THEZONE at checkout. That's THEZONE at checkout. Simply enter the code THEZONE and earn a discount on your next ticket order. Visit ticketsforless.com or download the free Tickets for Less app today from your app store.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a little bit of slowdown from 192nd to 168th along Center. Then on L Street, be prepared for some minor delays from 132nd all the way to 102nd. Then on Dodge, it looks like you can experience some very minor delays from 80th to 72nd. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This Time-Saving Traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Love Languages, presented by Fernando's. For spending quality time.
Let's go out and get tacos.
Come and feel the love at Fernando's, 75th and Pacific, 114th and Dodge, and FernandosOmaha.com.
Hey, everybody, it's Michael Severe for Rotella's Italian Bakery at 108th and Harrison. That's where you get the great smells. The smells are free. Of course, you got to pay for the bread, but the bread is so good. For 100 years now, Rotella's and their family has supplied Omaha and Nebraska and so many other places with amazing bread. For us, it's simple. A loaf of white bread every single week. That's what we go through, whether it is French toast in the morning or it's sandwiches. Rotella's Italian Bakery bread has got you set up for what you need to do with your family. And the great thing is there's a variety, whether it's ciabatta or you're looking for a sourdough or you're looking for wheat, whatever it is, they have you covered at Rotella's. Head over to 108th and Harrison, where you can actually walk in and, again, smells are free. You got to pay for the bread, or any of your local grocery stores where they're supplying the Rotella's Italian Bakery bread. Whether it's white, wheat, or whatever, Rotella's Bakery bread is great because of 100 years of tradition.
For unmatched cardiac expertise, put your heart in the right place with Nebraska Medicine, where you'll find the most heart advances in the state. Telehealth appointments to make your care even more convenient, and a genetics clinic to help avoid future heart issues. With multiple locations, our world-leading care is just a heartbeat from home. For matters of the heart, this is where you begin. Visit nebraskamed.com/heart.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Join Genesis Health Clubs today for just $10 and save $20 per month every month with no contract. Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen, owner of Genesis Health Clubs, here with the secret to healthy fitness habits. It's true that there are plenty of people who manage to stay consistent with exercise over lunch or after work, but the real secret is scheduling exercise into your daily routine. Pick a time, and that is your time to exercise. What is more important than your health? Nothing. So what time are you working out tomorrow? I'm inviting you to give it a try by joining Genesis Health Clubs for just $10 and save $20 a month, all with no contract. Whether your exercise is at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m., schedule your exercise because it's the most important part of your schedule. And now life's little interruptions won't stand in your way. My dad always told us, don't put something off till tomorrow that you can do today. Make today your day for better health. Come into any Genesis location or go online and get started for just $10 and save $20 per month with no contract. Go to GenesisHealthClubs.com to get started today.
The year was 1959. Broncos starts serving food that's fine. Now it's 2023, and Broncos is still the place to be. Still serving fresh and never frozen. That's why it's best in Omaha chosen. So grab the family and come inside to Broncos Hamburgers, where quality rides.
MD West 1 and the Ortho and Spine Urgent Care are now open on the southwest corner of 192nd and Dodge. MD West 1 is voted the #1 private medical practice in Omaha for orthopedics, neurosurgery, and spine. MD West 1's new location in Fountain Ridge includes the Ortho and Spine Urgent Care, where walk-ins are welcome. See the specialists directly for any bone, joint, or muscle injury or condition. Go to mdwest1.com for details.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Well, when you get to this time of the year, people go 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Nebraska, actually, when they're breaking the huddle, go 1, 2, 3 out of the bottom 4.
Yep. Let's play Thursday.
Every chance. 1, 4 or 5. We're off until they play Minnesota on Saturday. We welcome in Jacob Bigelow, Huskers Illustrated, and everything else he does that we'll document here in just a moment. Good morning, sir.
Top of the morning, gentlemen. How's it going?
Good. I know there's a lot of positivity coming about Nebraska men's basketball, but you go to a lot of games at PBA, whether it be a media person, whether you're a student manager, or whether you're just a basketball guy. Can I vent for one thing, and maybe you can help me because you know the back operation of this? What in the heck are we doing with the students that we got to get them to the game by giving them free stuff? I mean, we do like free stuff if you're a college kid. They did this last year with the Christmas sweaters, but they did it again yesterday, and it confused, I would say, everybody in the building that was not involved when they have to go and pick up their sweatshirt that they were giving away before halftime. So with like 2 minutes to go, the student section empties out.
That's why.
Now, in the arena, it's an odd visual. I've heard from people on TV, they had no idea what was going on because all of a sudden there's that one corner behind the Maryland bench that is absolutely packed because all these students are going out into the lobby to pick up their sweatshirt. What is going on?
That is their way of making sure that people stay for at least the first half of the game and aren't just there for a sweatshirt. That was how it was explained to me when I was in the thick of it. Was they'll try to lure you there with, hey, here's this piece of clothing. I think yesterday it was just a sweatshirt that said corn on it.
Oh, the corn crib.
And instead of just having people who'd show up, grab the sweatshirt and go back to, have some more frosty beverages in the rail yard or wherever they may go spend their afternoon.
Studying, Jacob, studying.
Studying, Nick.
Come on.
You I knew you were the studying duo. Yeah, who knows what these college kids might be doing.
They can't do it at the end of the game?
Right.
While they're leaving?
I don't know. That's I was never. That's why I never worked game ops. But here we are.
Is it too chaotic because maybe the regular, average Joe fan also might think that they could claim a free sweatshirt? That's why they don't do it after the game because there's just too many people exiting.
Yeah, maybe it is kind of a mess getting out of there. That is kind of the main way people file out. So who knows?
Well, there's a lot of things to nitpick. We nitpicked that one. Let's talk about other things that have led to this resurgence by Nebraska basketball. It's easy to go, hey, let's talk about Tominaga. It's easy to go, hey, let's talk about Sam Hoiberg. But I want to talk about Blaise Keita, who has, I don't know if he's reached the expectation I had. I think I readjusted after seeing him in person from junior college to his first month of what he could be in his first year at the Division I level. I don't know what kind of score he's going to be, Jacob, in the future, but I think his development in about a 5-6 week span, and you got to keep him healthy because he went down again yesterday. I think he is a lunch pail guy that Nebraska has that probably is one of those guys that you went, oh, didn't expect that. We have gotten Blaise Keita, who takes charges, rebounds, doesn't need to score. What has led to his resurgence?
I think it's just his. I mean, from everything we've heard about him, Derek Walker has stayed, just raving about Blaise, his personality, who he is as a person. supposedly he's never had his head down. I mean, he's just been persevering through everything, whether it's what the adversity of the injury or the adjustment from junior college to the Big Ten, which is obviously a steep adjustment. We've seen it with plenty of other people during the Fred Hoiberg era be tough, but he's just stayed the course, and that's all that's all you can ask in a season like this for guys like him to just stay the course, keep doing what you're doing. I know Ernie Ziegler and Adam Howard have been working with him on aspects of his big man game, and we're seeing those flashes. I completely and totally agree with you. Lunch pail guy for sure.
Mm-hmm. The conversation earlier today is just Fred's managing of this bench. And yesterday, again, it took another hit. You had Blaze go out late. Jamarcus Lawrence has to come back in after he had banged up his ankle too. You're at some point just running out of bodies, but then there's the Sam Greasel moment, Jacob, where he's in foul trouble. So you're trying to keep everything together, and that's where Nebraska ultimately loses the lead, and then they're down by 7. But just overall game management, what'd you take away from that yesterday from Fred?
I was impressed. Especially toward the end of the first half, and he was swapping in guys who didn't have fouls and trying to manage the fouls as much as he could, because obviously Greasel and Walker were both in foul trouble throughout. They definitely were going with some unorthodox lineups, kind of made you raise an eyebrow. Some of the combinations that were out there, but that's where we're at. That's what they're doing. They gotta they gotta work with what they got, and they found a way. It's a credit to Fred. Gary, I heard you talking earlier about, I think Fred's become a better coach. I think yesterday was a prime example, just with the lineup management, how he went about. I mean, I was questioning some of those rotations, but I mean, they had to do what they had to do given the fouls and game flow and everything, and they found a way. So.
Jacob Bigelow joining us here. You can find Jacob's work at Huskers Illustrated. Also, the Shoot Around podcast that him and Jacob Padilla do that is very, very informative. And inform me on what was Maryland trying to do defending Derek Walker? They tried 4 different guys. There was only one guy that was effective, but they kept switching to defend him, which I thought was a mistake, and he ended up scoring 23 points. How would you assess the way Maryland tried to defend Derek Walker?
Yeah, I don't really know what the game plan could have been there. I didn't think coming in that they exactly had someone with like the prototypical like body type to contain Derek. I figure they'd maybe consider doubling him, but yeah, you're right. They were kind of just switching guys onto him, and he just kept doing whatever he wanted to do. Yeah, that was a head scratcher for sure. Yeah, I've said all year that Maryland might be the team that makes the least sense in the league, which is crazy with Northwestern in second, and they won their 20th game yesterday. But I mean, they are very, very, very confusing, just to put it lightly.
Well,
so I was perplexed.
I mean, I couldn't figure out their offense. There was no like rhyme or reason to their offense, and it basically became Young, who's got 1 or 2 moves. And then everybody else just kind of, they hang around the 3-point arc. I mean, Scott was terrible shooting the ball yesterday. The only guy that I really went, wow, was Reese. I don't know. Maryland's a really weird team. And you go, oh, they're 18-9. They're 9-7 in the conference. I couldn't figure out what they wanted to do offensively yesterday.
Yeah, no, I couldn't either. I completely agree with you. I mean, Young and Reese, Jameer Young might be the best transfer portal get in the conference. He's really good. And Reese has come a long way. But yeah, other than that, they're an odd group for sure.
I want to get your thoughts on Keisei Tominaga from when he kind of started this run of just consistent scoring and creativity with that scoring, and how teams are trying to defend him, and kind of going back to Sharpie's question about what they were trying to do with Derek Walker. What have you seen teams trying to do now with Keisei, and I guess ultimately how he sort of responded?
I mean, nobody's leaving him. That's for sure.
Right.
I mean, they're all over him, staying attached, following him through screens. I mean, no one is leaving him. any room, which is crazy because I think his shooting percentages are better when he's contested than when he's open. And what's crazy is yesterday, sitting there watching that game, he hit that 3 to get to 20 points, and someone sitting next to me goes, "Well, there's 5 straight 20-point games." Like, he's got 20.
Yeah.
Like, if it was possible, with the way Casey has that crowd in the palm of his hand, it's impossible for him to have a quiet 20. But I was surprised to look up and see him hit 20 late in that game yesterday. I'm like, all right, there you go. But that's a testament to a good scorer. I guess we're so used to him pulling up from the panhandle on the court that, with how much he was cutting to the basket and finishing at the rim yesterday, they're like, oh, there you go.
Hey,
oh hum, another 20-point game.
You know what? There's also something else. The last 2 games out in New Jersey and then yesterday. Am I crazy to think that he's never going to be an elite ball stopper, but that his defense has actually gotten a little bit better?
No, you're not crazy to think that. I would agree. I mean, I think it's definitely improved. He's never going to be like, he's never going to be like picking up your number one guy full court or anything like that. But I think just with the energy and how much he moves around, when Nebraska's doing what they want to do, which is kind of the controlled chaos, everybody's flying around to the perimeter and everything like that. I mean, you see his energy on the other end of the court. If he can translate just even a little iota of that energy to the defensive end, then that's a welcome improvement for Nebraska.
I'm not a huge fan of the week-long gap, but especially with what happened yesterday and the next game against Minnesota. But given Minnesota, what they have going all the way back to this last weekend, they will have played their 4th game when they play Nebraska in a week's time. But also, this is a banged-up team. Even the guys that we mentioned, Lawrence and Blaze, I mean, do you feel like this week, whether you like it or not, is probably going to be pretty important for Nebraska's health?
Absolutely. Much needed. We didn't really get a for sure diagnosis on anything yesterday, but with Lawrence and Kata both, little ankle related things, any time off is welcome. And, it's convenient for them to have, 5 days off to prep. I think Fred said they're not going to go into, scout or game prep until Wednesday or Thursday. So they've got some time to get some treatment, rest up, and hopefully get better and be ready to go.
All right. Do we have to have some speaks with Fred about his son? Because I'm just going to go through a log here. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 1 minute. Oh, that's the 1 minute in the Illinois game. Then 2 weeks later, 18, 26, 11, 20, 19, 19, 23, 37 minutes in a 45-minute basketball game yesterday. I think Sam's 2 most important plays were defensively, but I understand we like 9 points. Fair or foul to ask this question, why wasn't he playing sooner?
Well, this brings me back to when I thought he was going to be a prime candidate for the Johnny Trueblood Award. He's definitely come a long way since then, whether it be him picking off that pass like a single high safety against Wisconsin or him just telegraphing that, I don't know about if he should have played sooner, but what is undoubtable is he's making the most of his opportunity and then some. And Fred said as much, was echoed by Derek Walker too. The kid works his you-know-what off day in, day out. Derek Walker said something yesterday. He said, sometimes in practice, Sam goes too hard. They get mad at him for how hard he's playing in practice. I don't know if that's scout team or whatever he's doing, but he just plays hard. And listening to him talk yesterday, it's almost, surprise, surprise, the son of a coach talks like a coach, but his basketball IQ is clearly excellent. And it sounded like he was fully prepared and had a feeling for what Jameer Young was going to do on that, that end of game inbound. He was like, oh, here's my time to go. And, he's taken his opportunity. He's made the most of it and then some.
Is this what we've seen? And it always feels like there's a moment. Even last year, the end of the regular season where they were the senior day destroyers. Is this something that you do feel like Nebraska can sustain? Again, the limitations with this roster as far as health and what have you, and guys that are available. But given the way and the style this team is playing and their schedule that remains, I mean, is this a little bit more than fool's gold in your opinion? I mean, do you think there is something to this that can be sustained where they can finish strong and who knows, maybe have somewhat of an extended stay in the Big Ten tournament?
It's definitely in a weird spot. You look at the next two. Minnesota clearly is the worst team in the Big Ten. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Like you said, they're going to have coming off their fourth game in a week. They've also never won at PBA. That's another thing, whether it's Richard Pitino or Ben Johnson. Minnesota has never won a game at Pinnacle Bank Arena. They, that's, I assume, another weekend afternoon crowd will be juiced up. Then Michigan State comes in. That you know all about the relationship between Izzo and Fred. They both know each other's bags of tricks. They're close friends. That's going to be Sam Griesel's, hometown kid senior night, Derek Walker's third senior night. Not many people get 3 senior nights, but Derek Walker, that's going to be Derek Walker's senior night part 3. And there'll be some juice in that building for a Tuesday night, 8:00 tip. So there'll be some emotion going on there. I don't know what to think about Iowa. Carver Hawkeye has been a house of horrors for Nebraska basketball, no matter who the coach is, no matter who's on the team. And that's going to be, Sunday matinee to wrap up the regular season. But, there are definitely some things that you like. And the 2 games they've got coming up, if they can protect home court and, we'll see what the draw is in Chicago. Because, in postseason play, it's kind of all about your draw and all about your momentum. So, we'll just have to see.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's February 20th, and we're talking about Nebraska basketball in a good light.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be 14-14, but kudos to these guys because they could have cashed it in. It could have gone south, and we'd be talking about who the next coach is going to be at Nebraska. But they've found a way to keep it interesting. And I imagine on Saturday when they play Minnesota, that building will be packed again for a team that's 14-14, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely and totally agree. These guys have made it pretty fun to follow, especially this late in the year. That's all you can ask for with Nebraska basketball. Some intrigue in February, some positive energy, and just enjoy the ride. Sit back, enjoy the ride, and take it as it comes, man.
All right, appreciate it, Jacob.
Nope, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's Jacob Bigelow. You can follow him on Twitter at Jacob A. Bigelow. Hey, big news when we're talking to Jacob. Jelly Roll is coming to Omaha.
Where?
No. You guys aren't getting out this easy. I guess neither one of you know who Jelly Roll is.
It's a person? I thought we were talking food.
No. This is not some going to be a new sushi thing. You guys have not heard of Jelly Roll?
Is it an act?
I would have thought it's related to Grimace.
So, when I explained Chris Stapleton to both
I
of you.
know who Chris Stapleton was.
You guys didn't know.
I did. You said I couldn't pigeonhole him into a country artist.
No. So you want 2 different genres. Jelly Roll is a country singer, but he is also a rapper.
Ooh.
And he's coming to the Chai at the end of August.
What hits does he have?
What's the new one that he has out
Glazed
right
and
now?
Confused?
Hold on. Wow.
If that is not on there, he needs to have a glazed and confused.
And it's actually on my phone. I can't believe that I forgot the name right.
You forgot, so clearly
you guys
he's
are
not.
so disrespectful.
He's not on your radar.
No. Here, he's on my playlist. I can't believe that.
Jelly Roll.
You've never heard "Son of a Sinner"?
How's it go?
I'm not going to sing the whole song because I'll kill our audience.
Oh, that's Jelly Roll, huh?
It's Ballads of the Broken. It's his album from 21. Yeah, it's like the hottest song, one of the hottest songs going right now.
Should I go next door and ask them?
Yeah, they'll know who Jelly Roll is.
His real name is Jason DeFord.
I know. He's a big dude. He's probably pushing about.
He is.
Probably about 350 bills.
Wait, that does sound familiar. I'll have to figure out how I know that.
I'm going to listen to this song during the break.
It's a really good song.
Because there's a lot of songs that exist out there. I'm like, oh, yeah, I've heard that, but I don't pay attention on who sings it.
He's
I'll
got
be curious to know.
So that's probably not his. So he's got another song called "Save Me."
So he must be pretty good though if he's going to the Chai.
He's like the fat Post Malone is what he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's what
he's
he is.
Carl Malone.
He doesn't have any. Oh, he does have a face tat, doesn't he?
Yeah, who doesn't these days?
I don't.
Huh,
You're not kidding. I saw like
you
two
don't.
people at the
up to
All-Star
speed.
game.
I don't think any of us have them.
Well, I'm not allowed to in 48 states. All right, Joel Lorenzi before the hour is over. As we shift the discussion to Creighton, we try and figure out, is this something that Reef can ride? Well, that bench. They needed the bench. They got the bench. And Sharif Mitchell, good to see him because he's fought it. But, man, he's got a ton of confidence in that shot now. What's up with Baylor Shireman? And what is up tomorrow night when Creighton takes on Marquette in a monster game in the Big East and nationally in college basketball? That's coming up here in a moment. As also, we'll give you an opportunity to win tickets to Cocaine Bear, our exclusive watch party with 1620 The Zone coming up on Thursday. That's next.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
They are going to a league that has 4 versions of themselves. Yeah. Just like Nebraska, when they left the Big 12, they went to a league that had 3 versions of them historically. They are joining at a really strange period where they had their worst season in years. If Lincoln Riley was still their head coach, I know I would feel more confidence in the Sooners. Right now, I'm like, oh.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Warming up even more President's Day Monday. Watch out for a little patchy fog in the morning. Otherwise, partly sunny skies. Breezy in the afternoon with gusts 20 to 25 miles per hour possible. Highs in the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. On 1620 The Zone.
Omaha Maverick baseball and softball season tickets are on sale now. Don't miss a pitch or run scored. 2023 season tickets include in-state rivals Creighton and Nebraska. Get your tickets.
Welcome to the Rib Shack, where Miss Jackie voted Master prepares the true Southern taste of down-home barbecue and soul food. The Rib Shack was first established in St. Louis and is now in Omaha. The Rib Shack Smokehouse offers the slow-cooked St. Louis ribs, smoked wings, brisket, pulled pork, and fabulous sides. They even offer catering. Rib Shack on the southwest corner of 108th and Q Street. On the web at ribshacksmokehouse.com. Rib Shack Smokehouse, bringing that unique Southern taste to Omaha.
Chris, this needs to go to Parkville by 3.
Joy to the holiday packages that keep coming at Jimenez Couriers.
It's coming your way, but the drop-off location is changing.
She needs delivery drivers with the gift of punctuality.
Anyone looking to pick up some overtime? Anyone?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to the After Hours Lounge on 1620 The Zone.
There is no reason that a kid from this state with what is sitting down 45 minutes outside of Omaha has that weight room, that education, that stadium, the money behind those facilities should ever want to not go there.
Catch After Hours 6 to 8 Monday through Friday, or as the sports schedule allows. Brought to you by Payne West on 1620 The Zone.
Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Oh, just let this sink in, boys.
I had heard this song before, by the way. Good country song.
Okay, now you guys are vibing.
I am. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'd heard this song.
I've seen him before.
I had not seen him before. But you're right. You're spot on. He's like a heavier post.
Mm-hmm.
Said he'd be good in a 3-4.
He's got to. So you said he's also a rapper?
Yeah, so he is a rapper and a country singer, which is, unless you're a Cowboy Troy, you don't get a lot of those.
Okay.
All right, time to give away your opportunity to join us for Cocaine Bear, our exclusive watch party of 1620 The Zone. All of us will be there with you out at ACMX.
I'm even going.
In Elkhorn.
That's not even past my bedtime.
I'm even going.
That's a big deal. I like my bedtime. It's a 91-minute movie, and I live less than 10 minutes away. So
It's Thursday. It's like the pre-weekend.
True.
I think Sharpie's got an early flight on Friday, too.
Yep. So we're going to get after it. So here's your opportunity. We are going to give away. So for our listeners right now, and also we're going to do it for the streamers, but you have two separate questions. What number caller do you want to take, Jimmy, here?
Do 4.
Okay. This is for the fourth caller.
There's 4 lines, by the way. That's why I say.
Yeah. What was the name of Yogi Berra's girlfriend? I might have said Berra. What was the name of Yogi?
You did say Yogi Berra.
What was
but
the
if you know
name-
Yogi Berra,
Man, I have no idea who Yogi Berra's girlfriend was.
it's a sports show. So.
What is the name of Yogi Bear's girlfriend? He had a girlfriend. What is the name of Yogi Bear's girlfriend? Fourth caller, when Jimmy talks to you, you're going to win 2 tickets to go to the Cocaine Bear watch party. Now, for our streamers, and I guess also if you're listening right now and you're online or whatever, who wore number 89 that is retired by the Chicago Bears? That's for Jimmy at 1620thezone.com. And he will sift through the correct answers and pick the winner. So on the phones, fourth caller, what was the name of Yogi Bear's girlfriend?
The Bear, not the Yankee.
Yeah.
No.
Respect if you know the Yankee.
No, I will save a Yogi Berra question for tomorrow.
I like that.
But we want Yogi Bear, fourth caller. Jimmy at 1620 The Zone gets you also an opportunity to win 2 tickets. Number 89 was retired by the Chicago Bears. I mean, they've had, 7, 28, 3, 5, 34, 40, 41, 42, said Luckman.
51.
For Butkus, Bill Hewitt, Bill George, Clyde Turner. Red Grange was 77.
Mm-hmm.
Who wore 89? That's Jimmy at 1620thezone.com. Does he know the answer to Yogi's girlfriend?
Is it Cindy?
Yeah! Cindy Bear, there's a song.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a quick break. Joel Lorenzi to talk Creighton basketball after the win against St. John's in a huge game tomorrow night between Creighton and Marquette. That's fun. And we'll talk to Joel coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
Ready to revolutionize your home's look? Smash those outdated windows and upgrade with J-Tech Construction, the official exterior and solar experts of the Huskers. For a limited time, qualified buyers enjoy no payments and 0 interest for a year. Plus, receive a free triple paint upgrade. Trust the best in the business and see why so many homeowners choose us. Contact us now and take the first step toward a stunning home transformation. The official exterior and solar experts of the Huskers, J-Tech Construction, your exterior experts.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is your home for the big game. Whether it's the pro football playoffs or a rivalry on the hardwood, you'll find all the action on Oscar's upgraded audio video system. With 40 TVs and massive dual projectors, the game has never looked better. Pair that with their award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has everything you need. 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout at 162nd in Maple.
Give your business a whole host of options with Host Coffee. The most impressive selection of office coffee, water options, healthy food options, and vending technologies. Host Coffee, serving you since 72. Be a part of the Host Coffee team today. If you'd like to work for a trusted and loyal family-owned company that understands the needs of working families, Host Coffee has your opportunity. Apply at hostcoffee.net.
There's a lot of misconceptions about heating and cooling out there, so it's time we clear the air. When your heater goes out when it's below freezing, that's more than just annoying. Relying on your HVAC system shouldn't be a roll of the dice. Cold weather doesn't clock out, and at 1 hour heating and air conditioning, neither do we. From simple repairs to more complicated fixes, at 1 hour heating and air conditioning, we're always on time, or you don't pay time. Call 855-1-HOUR or visit onehourheatandair.com. Each location independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
A DUI is everything you didn't prepare for. You did not save for it. You did not train for it. You did not go to school for it. You did not raise your family or buy a house or get a job for it. It is not your life goal or a dream come true. You have planned for everything in your life. You did not plan for a DUI. Get a ride. A DUI costs more than you think.
Brought to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel, évidemment. Go to babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Now, we have covered all the bases with music today. Good job, DJ Jimmy.
This one
This
always
was a
gets
banger.
cranked up.
We welcome in
personality.
somebody who has a lot of diversification, whether it be in his basketball, his music, his shoe game, or his fit game. Joel Lorenzi from the World Herald. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Man, you be showing me too much love, man.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I feel for you when you have to go through a major snowstorm. You thought you'd escaped it. You know?
Boy.
Yeah.
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 I mean, it's Omaha. Omaha isn't really the Midwest, right? Like it's just
Sure it
the
is.
country.
Sure it
Okay, yeah,
is.
sure.
Hey.
Yeah, the Midwest, man. I'm so tired of the damn Midwest. I just can't get out of it. The other day, I think the only thing that really disappointed me was that, like, I'm going down Dodge because that's like the street I take to get to work. I mean, it's like the busiest street in the city, and there are like 1 or 2 lanes wherever you go that are like out of use because there was a whole pile of snow.
Yeah, snow medians.
I never
Yep.
seen nothing like that.
We get snow medians every now and then. It just keeps you from turning left.
They're serious about that.
Mhm.
And you know, I wouldn't have complained if I didn't spin out into incoming traffic. I think that was what got me.
Oh, yeah, that will.
Okay. Everything good though with the 4 wheels?
Yeah, it's cool now. I mean, everything's mostly melted now, so I can't complain now.
Hey, do we want to fix the NBA All-Star game, or do we just want to leave it like it is?
I'm so glad you asked because I was reading all these tweets yesterday, and I was watching that game on and off all transcribing. I'm like, man, this is hard to watch. Like that, I thought the whole weekend really broke my heart as a guy who used to, no matter what age, rush to the TV and be glued to it the whole weekend when this, the middle of February will come around.
That was me.
And it seems like between between players' attitudes and narratives toward the weekend and between, the NBA's league offices and Adam Silver trying to constantly create change to keep the people engaged. I think a lot of the changes are unnecessary. They made a product that is like it's like fleeting entertainment. It's that, and so the dunk contest. Nobody wants to do the dunk contest. Nobody wants to watch it. Really, the players are just too cool. So nobody wants to watch Mac McClung. I mean, shout out Mac McClung because he's a high flyer and was cool. But he was like the glaring outlier in that dunk contest. I mean, I'm watching Jericho Sims, a guy who's supposed to be, a powerful, dude is getting his head above the rim. And I'm like, yo, I want to implode watching him do his dunks. I'm like, this is hard to watch. And then the game itself, oh my God, you seen Mike Malone say,
oh yeah,
it was the worst basketball game he's ever seen. And frankly, I don't think he's far off, man. I thought, okay, this feels like a little less intense than what I'm used to. But when the fourth quarter comes around, hey, I'll shut up. And they never shut me up. And what really grinding my gears was when Candace Parker was like, okay, this is interesting. When I think it was right before Laurie Markkinen shot a three, and the whole Bronze squad just watched him. Nobody even walked within 10 feet of him. I'm like, okay, sure, this is interesting. I've been waiting for the moment all night when they give me my first thrill of the weekend, and it did not happen. So, man, they need to change the All-Star weekend. Like, it's so. I'm glad this is a talking point now because this is the peak. This is where you say, okay, it is at rock bottom in terms of the real fans and even casual fans. Where are casual fans getting out of this, man?
Yeah. I want to go back. The dunk contest, did it start to significantly go downhill since Blake Griffin dunked over Ikea?
Oh no. Hey. we can't erase the Zach LaVine.
That's true. Yeah.
Aaron Gordon years.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
Those were some of the best dunk contests ever.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean the one I don't remember what year it was. Maybe 2015. That you could argue that's the best dunk contest ever.
Yeah.
Seriously. In terms of creativity and everything. And I thought even the last good one to me was the Derrick Jones and Aaron
that was
Gordon,
good,
where he got robbed again. So really, I think that's probably where it fell off there, and so it is possible to get like non-superstars because back in the day it was the superstars, the stars competing in. And you had Dominique and you had Jordan, and through the years maybe Vince Carter, Kobe, like they were big names doing the dunk contest. And now it's like, and I remember when I got into the sport, the guys who would be in a dunk contest would be like budding stars who you hadn't heard of yet because they were too young or whatever. Now it's just like they're just getting, hey, you can dunk. You might be the 13th man, but if you can dunk, if people know you can dunk league wide, like, hey, come on. And I think, wow, I'm intrigued by that. I wanted to see Jericho Sims go out there, even though he was disappointed. Everybody doesn't, and so the appeal behind it is just not there. I thought the dunk contest would have been better had Shaden Sharp competed, but he backed out last minute. But even still, that only would have moved the meter so much, I think.
Yeah, you can't have a guy that's not in the NBA winning your slam dunk competition. But I mean, we all that's not a good look. Hey, so tomorrow night's huge game against Marquette. We'll get your thoughts on that one. But I want to go back to Saturday night in New York City and Art Kaluma. People will remember Art for his closeout on a 9-0 run to help Creighton pull away from St. John's and guarantee that game. But, man, is there any other player that you followed or you watch that is more unpredictable on what you're getting night to night, that they show flashes of being really, really good, and they can give you good, bad, and ugly all in the course of one game like Art does?
College basketball, I can't think of a player quite like that. And I think that's been the fun part about covering Art, is that you never know what you're going to get. I thought there was going to be some consistency there when the new year started, because then it was like you saw what he was offering, high intensity, offensive boards. He's going to be in your face. He might get a couple slams off Art. Like, he was going to be not an enforcer, but the high intensity, do the gritty stuff guy, and now I think he kind of not fell off, but the intensity was maybe lacking for like a game or two. I mean, he did it for I'd say 8 games straight during that win streak. And then the other night, I mean, I couldn't have told you that was going to happen. Nobody could lie and say they thought that would have happened. I mean, I never thought that either him or Baylor should stop shooting because it's not what they've ever done with stop shooting. But I would be lying if I told you that I knew he was going to make 1 3 down the stretch, let alone 3 straight. I mean, nobody on this team, probably nobody in college basketball, you might find 2 or 3 more people outside of him that are as unpredictable.
Well, Joel, we've talked about this for the last 2 weeks now, and Creighton continuing to sort of establish their identity in winning just some ugly games. And there are games in college basketball, if you look around, that you could see even a team that could be considered one of the better teams in the country will slip up every now and then. So kind of similar to what I asked you a week before, it was Saturday. Were you more encouraged just them finding a way to win that type of game, or were there concerns that come out of that one, in your opinion?
There was both. I think if you're a fan, you're probably concerned about Baylor's shooting, because he's had a few games like that now to the point where you're like, okay, because this happened as they're making a tournament run, like that's concerning. I'm not sure it was super surprising on Art because he hasn't had the most consistent or best shooting season. So, and then for him to turn it around the way he did at the end of the game, I think is more encouraging than anything. But I think the bad parts of that game, were, I don't know. They've had games in spurts like that. I would say it was more encouraging than anything, obviously, because almost every game they've won over the past month, they've had to grind out, and they keep finding different ways. I mean, Art hitting 3 straight threes and the bench giving them 20 points. Neither of those were on the bingo card, man.
No.
Like, neither. And so the fact that they keep finding ways to win, whether it's an ugly game or it's a game where they're up 10 suddenly with 2 minutes to go and they're just icing free throws, like, they're finding ways to win, man. This is a team that now I see is infinitely better at closing games than it was in the non-conference. And so I think it was more encouraging than anything.
Yeah, I would think if I'm Mike Anderson, I'm like, you know what? We'll let Kaluma and Sharif Mitchell shoot threes. We're going to be fine. Well, they paid the price with Sharif off the bench and then Art late. But I want to go back to Shireman because while there's Ryan Nemhard is shooting it well from beyond the arc and healthy, man, he's a whole different player when he's fully healthy. Last 3 games for Baylor, 9 of 36 from the floor, 4 of 22 from the arc. Has he hit the wall? I mean, what's the issue right now? Because they can't afford to have that moving forward from here on into the tournament for a guy that's got to make some shots.
Yeah, well, he's still a bona fide shooter, right? I think everybody hits that wall at some point. He just looks human now, and so I think it's coming at a time that's maybe playing too close to the vest for some, Creighton fans. But with that kind of stuff, usually you break out of that over the next few games with the way he's played the past 3 games. So I wouldn't be too worried long term, but it's the fact that it can happen that probably might worry Creighton fans during a tournament run. That you have to bring your best probably every game during that 6-game run, and you have to have a certain amount of luck. And he's had some unlucky shooting. I think the gravity alone of his shot, though, and how deep you have to usually pick him up, benefits him a lot, even when he's on a cold streak. So it's not like people are going to start going under on him like they did Nemhard earlier in the year. But I will say, too, like, they got guys that have managed to offset that, whether it was Kaluma's 3 straight threes or Nemhard shooting in recent games or Trey Alexander, coming with the heater. Like, they've had guys to offset that for the most part, even on bad shooting nights or relatively bad shooting nights. There's always a couple guys that come with the shot making over the past month or so that have, made up for that.
Last time these two teams played, Marquette and Creighton, I mean, kind of crazy to think where I think when we saw Marquette, we thought, okay, yeah, there's a team that could win the league. I don't think any of us were thinking about Creighton at the time. And yet here we are tomorrow night. So when you kind of look at this one, where these teams have come from and kind of ultimately what it entails, what's your feeling on Creighton tomorrow night?
I think they should feel good. Not super good, not as good as St. John's coming to town or something. Marquette, man, I think Marquette is next to Creighton. I think they're on the same tier of team right now. In the Big East, man, Marquette is a really just veteran, really high IQ, great top 10 offense. And the defense is super far behind, which has made them a great team. And Tyler Kolek is playing like one of the best point guards in the country. And behind him, man, that team can do some crazy things. I mean, when I watched them bounce Baylor earlier in the year, I mean, it seemed like somewhat of a fluke, but they proved it's been so much less than that since then. I mean, the way they've gone through the conference schedule, and people will say, people will mention the UConn game a couple weeks back or a week ago and say, oh yeah, well, they're doing this and that. But I mean, Marquette, man, the way they've gone through this slate, I think Marquette still has the upper hand in terms of winning the regular season title. I mean, even if they lose, they could probably still share the title, assuming Creighton wins out or both win out. And so Marquette, man, I think they have less to lose, but they're just a really damn good team.
Yeah.
So good. I know that Kalkbrenner wasn't playing the last time they played, which will definitely change the game drastically. But I think that still ends up with one possession game.
I mean, and they have played some doozies in that building from Marcus Howard a couple of years ago. I mean, I think the one takeaway I have from that game on December 16th is I thought Shaka Smart is doing a great job with 5 players that have NBA skill sets, but can they keep it going for an extended period of time? They have. So he's my Big East coach of the year. But I don't know what else, like from Creighton's standpoint. Kalkbrenner didn't play. Fred King was playing a lot of minutes and was really good that night. Against the Havoc, you turned it over 18 times. You only hit 4 threes. I don't know how much from the Creighton standpoint you go, oh, we got to watch out for that, because 11 in the middle makes a big difference. But I agree with you. This is a Marquette team that is legit, and it's a heck of a job that Shaka Smart has done.
Yeah, and you mentioned the turnovers. They won't have to force as much in the middle of the floor as they did that time. I keep trying to explain to people that, the difference, and you've seen this in recent games, and this is no knock to Fred because he's still young and he's had his fair share of flashes, but there's a difference, a visible difference. I think this was the Providence game where you really saw us stand out. When Kalkbrenner's on the floor versus Fred King on the floor, just on the offensive end. Let's talk about the offensive end. The screens, the angles he rolls, all that. It just opens up so much more offense because the help defenders are just frightened by him and what he can do, because all his work comes away from the ball. He's not going to spam post touches. All his work comes away from the ball. And so on that end, he's going to do some big things, because in that first meeting, they went to Baylor back at this point in the season. They had went to Baylor probably a lot more than they were used to. And he had to force a lot of stuff in the middle of the floor. He had his, empty side post-ups, stuff they wouldn't have done or tried probably if Kalkbrenner was playing. So I think they can use that type of stuff, which I think could probably still work against Marquette, as a wrinkle and not like, every few possession type thing. Like, conference is going to open up so much more for them that I think they're going to have to worry less about contingency plans and whatnot. So
yeah, it should be a great night. It'll be Mardi Gras. It'll be for the Big East. Should be a lot of fun. Joel, we appreciate it as always. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Appreciate you guys. See you.
That's Joel Lorenzi from the Omaha World Herald. Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
People getting into Mardi Gras.
A little etouffee, but my wife makes a great etouffee. We do it every Fat Tuesday.
That used to be fun.
You guys want me to? You want me to go to the grocery store today and bring in some punchkis tomorrow?
What's a punchki?
Jimmy?
I don't know.
All right, I'll bring in punchkis.
I've been told. I've been told to try a king cake. I've never had one of those.
Well, Kellyanne brought the king cake. You guys went around, and there
Who
were
had the baby?
There was somebody in this building that found the baby.
All right, it's on them to make it next year.
Fantastic king cake from Kellyanne.
King cakes.
So tomorrow we'll do punchki.
All right,
I'll bring in some punchki.
I'm looking forward to what punchki is.
Well, you have a Google,
or we could have jelly rolls.
You guys,
the food.
I think you guys are. I'm feeling very, very violated that you guys are knocking jelly roll.
I'm not knocking jelly roll. I just didn't know it. Is it
didn't know who he was.
The fact that I didn't know who he was, does that mean I'm dissing him?
You guys are going off on his name.
Now, to be fair, there was a bagel story on the TV as you were saying this, so that's where my mind naturally
it is
went.
Still breakfast time. Think of jelly roll. I think of a jelly donut.
I think you guys are turned off by his the sign of the cross underneath his right eye.
Oh, now come on. I've never been critical of people with face tattoos.
He's a very pious individual.
But no, I think Jimmy's accurate, and yeah, he would be your interior guy in 3-4.
Oh,
he's the run stopper,
like Ted Washington back in the day.
Yep.
So you're saying that Tony White should maybe make an appearance here?
Yeah, I mean, hey, again, leave no stone unturned.
After following Son of a Sinner, not Son of a Sinner, but Jelly Roll on TikTok, because he stops along the way. Yeah, I don't think he's.
Not nimble?
I mean, he might need more than winter and summer conditioning.
Oh, okay.
If you know what I mean.
Okay.
Fair.
All right. We had winners in our Cocaine Bear giveaway.
Kevin and Kevin, congratulations.
Kevin and Kevin.
That'd be a good afternoon show. 1620.
Ditka. That was the answer.
Yeah.
Mike Ditka is the number 89 that's retired, and Cindy is Yogi's girlfriend.
And it wasn't who? Someone suggested. Was it Crank?
Yes.
Not cocaine, by the way. We're not. Okay, never mind.
I mean, it's timely.
We'll have more tickets to give away tomorrow. All right. Great show, everybody. A happy President's Day. Enjoy a beer with your favorite president. Courtesy of Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.